Hello and thank you for buying this, The Real Works on Nightclubs. So for 5 years I dominated the local area in nightclubs. I earned thousands of pounds from working at various different nightclubs all across the area, and today I'm going to teach you how I got the gigs, what I did at the gigs, and I'm joined by Jimmy Strange, who is going to help with that process. So I'm effectively going to teach Jimmy how to get a gig at a nightclub, and hopefully off the back of this conversation you guys are going to learn how to get gigs at nightclubs as well. So I guess the first thing is, why would anyone even want to work at a nightclub? For me, when I first started off, working at a nightclub was a brilliant way to get some extra money in. So you could be working on a Friday, Saturday night when you've not already got a gig, late at night, 11 till 1 o'clock in the morning, or even later than that sometimes. So it's a really nice way to supplement what you already do. If you're already doing anything, it's not going to get in the way of that. It's also a brilliant way to learn. There's the old saying, if you can work in a nightclub as a magician, you can work anywhere, because you really are going to see all of the different types of people that you could possibly come into contact with. You're going to have happy people, you're going to have drunks, you're going to have also the whole variety of people, and it's really going to give you a basis to take your work in nightclubs to further places after. So I done nightclubs for about 5 years. I had about 4 residencies, and beyond that I was working at all the freshers events, all the local nightclubs for their anniversaries or their birthday parties or whatever else they had going on, and it really is a fantastic place to get known in the local community and to really start building up your brand. And you get a lot of social proof from it as well, which we're going to be talking in detail about, things like photos, videos. You start getting the ball rolling for testimonials and that side of things as well. So nightclubs is a really great place, especially if you're younger. So if you're between 18 and 30, nightclubs are going to be a great place to go. But that's not to say you can't do it if you're older than that. It certainly does work, and there's certainly a lot of
a bit older than that.
But it works, you know. And if you've got a certain style that works in a nightclub, it will work. And the thing is, nightclubs at the moment are really crying out for things that are different.
Do you think it makes any difference if you're an older person working nightclubs?
I mean, it depends on you as a person. So I think when you're younger, you've got that association with younger people, in that you are of the same sort of age range of people that are going into nightclubs. But if you're older and you can carry it off and you're happy to work with younger people who are going to be very drunk, then by all means it's going to be a really good place to do that.
People normally accept you anyways, even if you're a bit older.
From my experience, from the magicians that I know who have worked in nightclubs, yes, it's no problem at all. And in fact, one of my good friends, I won't mention his name, but we saw him last night up at the Magic Circle, and he does a lot of residencies at nightclubs, and he is 45, something like that. And he's got lots of residencies working in this area. So there's absolutely no reason why age should play any major role in it. And nightclubs are really crying out for different types of entertainment that is going to help give added value to their customers. And there's lots of different reasons why someone would have a nightclub magician. We will go through those one bit at a time a little bit later on. But I think if you work in a nightclub, you can also command a good fee. You can make a really good additional money off the back of it as well. So lots of good reasons why you would want to work in a nightclub. Not only for the reasons I've already mentioned, but it's also really fun as well, and you get to go out and meet lots of really cool people and have a great laugh. It's also a really good training ground as a magician to go out and start to practice new effects in front of people without it being sort of a wedding or a corporate gig. But you can certainly use all the skills that we're going to teach you in this, whether we're talking about branding or any other aspects of setting up a business as a nightclub magician. You can pass over into a corporate and wedding market. So so I think that is why you would want to be a magician. Okay, so we're going to break down how to start the ball rolling if you wanted to become a nightclub magician. So I think this would be a good point to perhaps say how I got into it, and then talk about how you could use what I've learned to start up your own. So essentially, when it was about 7 years ago, something like that, when I first started pitching into the nightclub market, and essentially I would go to every single nightclub that I could find and pitch them my services, and it was essentially as simple as that. There's lots of different ways, again we'll go into those in a moment, but I think one of the key things that you need to do is getting the basics in place. So the basics in place would be things like getting photos, videos, testimonials of you working in an environment like that.
Yeah.
So a good way to do this is to go out to nightclubs as a guest, take a friend with you as a camera, and just go out and perform magic on people in a nightclub. Get some photos, get some videos, take that home, edit it so it's quite nice. I cut out all the fluff and all the rubbish, and then use these photos on a social media platform. So if you don't already have a social media page for your magic, I'd strongly recommend that you get one. So getting a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, all of that thing is specific. So it's away from your personal page. It's specifically just for your business as a magician. From my experience, Facebook is going to be the best one. Facebook is the one that most people use, and in fact I use Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, but I use Facebook a lot more than the other two. And what this will be is a platform where people can see your work.
Yeah.
So later on, when you do start pitching nightclubs, they can come check out what it is that you do. They can see some photos, see some videos, and start to get some social proof, some evidence that you are able to do what you say you can do when you pitch them a little bit later on. So yeah, what I would do is I would go into a nightclub with a friend, have that friend take some photos, take some videos of me performing magic, and yeah, take them away, use them on the social media page. I wouldn't worry about filming in a nightclub. Of course, some people would be worried about going out. The only thing I would say is just don't go in with a big camera. Just use an iPhone, because guests film at nightclubs. You know, you film your friends. It's a natural thing to do. So I wouldn't worry about taking a camera in and filming what it is that you do. If you're a bit discreet about it, you know, you don't want to be sort of getting panoramic shots and being a bit weird about it. But yeah, go in with a friend, get some photos, get some videos. I used to even go down to the student union when I was at university, and one of my friends would just come along and I'd just start performing magic. Yeah. And it's just about having a back catalogue of things, a process in place. So there's, over time, you build up these videos and you start getting momentum on your Facebook page. So you don't just want one video on your Facebook page and then start pitching people because they go look at it and there's only one thing. But it's just going out there, performing magic. It doesn't even, you know, if it's in a nightclub environment, great, but there's no reason why you can't be doing it on friends, family at a bar or any other little private parties or events that you're doing. And again, this is assuming that you have you're not a magician already as such. You're sort of going right from being a hobbyist, but you want to go into that arena of earning money from it. So yeah, get social proof. So get videos, get photos, get testimonials if you can. It doesn't matter about the environment, but if you're going to work in nightclubs, start thinking about getting that stuff in a nightclub. So getting photos, getting videos, and I mean, another thing is to start thinking about setting up a website as well. There's some really great free websites. Wix.com is the one that I used when I first started. You can get a free version. It does have ads on it. Or if you want to invest a little more, you can get a very nice website on Wix for £100 a year, something like that.
Which is quite reasonable, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. And it's all just about getting the ball rolling, starting to put yourself out there as a magician, and starting to have some social proof.
So it's very important to advertise like that, you know, get all the footage. And, that's important, isn't it? It is,
because it's evidence, essentially. So that when you go and actually pitch a club, they can go, all right, well, what's he on about? Who is this guy? And they have a look on your social media, and then they go, all right, so he's got a couple of videos here, he's got really good reactions. And speaking of reactions as well, if you do go out and you get really rubbish reactions, don't put it on Facebook. And you know, you can self-censor, you can self-edit, and edit only the best things that you do onto social media. What I used to do is I used to have a rule. So I would always go out and try to make better videos every time I made a video. And if I had one that was really good, I would then get rid of one that wasn't so good. So that by doing that, your videos are always getting better.
That's a good point. That if you shove the work, you know, you're getting better and better. So that's a good way of putting it, you know. Yes,
and I still do that now. If I have a new updated show reel that I put onto YouTube, I'll get rid of my one that's 3 years old. So it's always newer and updated. And of course, as you progress, your budget's going to increase, so you're going to have better cameras and whatever else. And so I'll get a new one, put it on, get rid of the older one. And I also think less is more a lot of the time as well. It's better to have one really good video than 10 okay videos,
Yeah.
because people always judge you by your worst work. So
I think if you've got lots of footage, people tend to get bored as well.
yeah, they would absolutely.
They want to sit there for ages watching. They're going to, they want to see, like you say, one good piece of footage.
Yeah.
Where you've got really good reactions and,
Absolutely, and I think a good way as well, if you were to go out and get 4 or 5 really good videos, is then edit that, just the reactions, put them all together, and then when you're pitching, again, we'll talk about the specifics of how to pitch later on, but then you would just show them the edited one of the 4 decent videos, so you would sort of send them that. But yes, so building up a social media profile, some kind of influence on social media. So setting up a social media page, again, Facebook is what I would suggest, and putting photos, videos of you performing, so you're building up something. Now you have to remember, if you are at the bottom rung of a ladder, and that would be being a hobbyist, if you are in that position, don't be scared to realise that you're on that bottom rung. When I first started, one of the best things I did was realise that's where I am. So there's no point trying to over-excel yourself and over-put yourself out. Be honest with who you are, be honest with what you're doing. Put those photos and videos of you performing good magic in a good place, and yeah.
I think the important thing is you went for it though, didn't you? You just threw yourself into it.
Yes.
And
I think you have to. I think with this industry, if you want a nightclub gig, again, it's not going to be easy. It's a numbers game. That's how I always used to view it. It is a numbers game. The more places you can show that you can benefit them, the more chance you've got of getting hired by someone.
Yeah. Because a nightclub is quite a unique place to perform magic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a loud environment. It's quite ballsy. People in your face.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a lot of characters. So,
you are dealing with a lot of characters. Yes. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, your character will develop and change as well. It's character building.
Yeah, it's a good place to, I think, perform magic. I think.
It is.
It's almost like a baptism of fire. It's will get you ready for the outside world, as it were.
Absolutely, it is the best training ground. If you can work in nightclubs confidently and competently, you are very likely to then move across into a wedding and corporate market, and I think that's going to be very beneficial. So that is the first thing. That is the first tip I'd recommend. Get social proof. Get as much social proof as possible. If it can be in a nightclub, excellent. But any kind of videos videos of you performing in front of an audience, and again, as you said, it's being ballsy. If you want to get a good video, take a friend, go out and perform some magic to people. Get those reactions. Doesn't matter whether you're in a bar, a club, a restaurant. Just get some videos of you performing so that people can see what it is that you do. And I think ballsy is the perfect way of doing it. It's just don't be scared of going out and making these videos. Just go out and make them. Because the thing is, if you go out and make one video and it's good, you'll be encouraged to go out and make another one, and then another one, and the more you do, the easier it will get. So yeah, again, that's assuming as a hobbyist, you want to turn it into a pro. Get that social media, get the basics in place, and that's what we're going to. Okay, so we're going to talk about how you actually go and start pitching a nightclub. So what you really have to do is convince the nightclub why it's worth hiring you above not hiring you. Why should they spend money investing in you than not investing in you? So there are lots of problems that a nightclub faces, and your job as a magician is not just to go and perform magic tricks, but you're going to solve some of their problems. So the key is to inform them how you're going to solve their problems. So there's a lot of different problems that a nightclub may face, and I've got a list of them here just to make sure I don't forget any of them as we're going through. But one of the problems, for example, could be that queues can form outside of a nightclub, and this could lead to walkaways. It could lead to people having a less of a good experience at their nightclub, because no one likes to be stuck in a queue, especially if it's winter and it's cold and it's wet, and the girls are hardly wearing any clothes at all. So what you can do as a magician is keeping them entertained. Okay, so you're keeping them entertained on the queue, and that's going to stop people walking away. When you're outside of the queue, you can also usher people into the queue, especially if it's one in, one out. But you're causing some kind of excitement, some kind of drama whilst working on a queue, which so that's a benefit that you can provide a nightclub. So you could use that as a pitching line. So you could say something like, I know that sometimes on a nightclub there are big queues that form outside. if you were to invest in me, what I could do is stop people walking away by keeping them entertained on the queue. I would also stop them becoming bored and restless by keeping them entertained and giving them a focus point. It's also giving them a good first experience of the nightclub. So we've identified a small problem and you've given them a massive solution to it. Lots of different things that are going to help solve one of the problems a nightclub has. And the thing about nightclubs is they might have problems that they don't even know is a problem. So they might not think that a queue is a potential problem, but if you can bring it to them by saying it is a problem and I can solve it by doing X, you're on a start of a good roll. So
one thing that as British people we don't like doing is queuing. So.
We're very good at it, but we don't like doing it. Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, so yeah, it's going to cut down on walkaways. So that's a good benefit of what you could provide a nightclub. It's hard to keep customers loyal to a nightclub. There's so many different nightclubs around, and a lot of the guests are going to be floating between different places. And how do you keep customers loyal? How do you keep them coming back to that nightclub? So as a magician, what you're doing is you're adding value to the customer's experience. So you are giving them something extra that other nightclubs aren't doing, and you're building a bridge between the management and the customer. If you think a customer goes into a nightclub, they're going to see the bouncers, then they're going to go in, they're going to buy a drink, so they're going to see the bar staff, and then they're going to see the bouncers on the way out again. And that is the only experience with staff that they have. So as a magician, you can keep customers loyal by building an extra bond. So you could welcome guests, welcome to club whatever it is, Club XXX. I hope it's not Club XXX. That's a totally the wrong type of club for a magician to be working at. But you know what I'm saying. So you could stop. You're adding value to customers' experience. Okay, because people often go to many different nightclubs in a night. So by having a magician, you're making it stand out in the eyes of the customers. And nightclubs are always looking for something different, a different thing that they can promote, a different thing that they could use to pull more customers in and stop people going to other nightclubs. So again, as a magician, you're adding value. And it's something that they could use to promote. We've got a resident magician in on Friday nights, come in early. Which is a beneficial thing for the clubs. That's another pitching line you could have. VIP booths are really important. So a lot of nightclubs will have a VIP booth, and they will charge customers a set fee to hire out the VIP booth. So guests might go on a Friday night if they've got a birthday, and they'll have 20 of their friends, and they'll pay a fee of like 300, 400, sometimes £1,000 for some of the more exclusive clubs to hire out a booth. And they are the VIPs for the night. So as a magician, you can add extra value to the VIPs experience. You're giving those customers an extra thank you from the management, and that's very important. If people are paying a premium price, they expect a premium service. So being a magician is an extra bit of value that the nightclub can add. And also a strong social media presence. If you know anything about nightclubs, they're constantly trying to get more social media online, getting in front of as many people as they can. Social media is one of the biggest ways that nightclubs use to promote. So being a magician is an extra thing that they could use on social media. And again, we're going to talk about the photos and such that you can add to their social media platform later on. But that is one of the problems that nightclubs face, is how can they make their social media content different? So by being a magician, you could perform tricks in front of the camera that market the nightclub. So there's a lot of problems, and there's a lot of ways you could fix these problems. Okay, so when you're going to pitch a nightclub, it's about identifying the problems and solutions and then working it into a way of pitching the nightclub. Okay, so these are just a few things to think about, some of the areas, some of the problems that a nightclub might face, and some of the ways that you might solve these problems. What I used to do is turn them into pitching lines. So I would just write out one of the problems you might face at a nightclub is that you want to make VIP areas stand out from other VIP areas at different nightclubs. By having me as your magician, I'm going to add extra value to those guest experience. You're going to have a better time at your nightclub, and they're going to promote and praise your nightclub afterwards. Okay, so or with queues, I would say, so I appreciate that sometimes the large queues can form outside of a nightclub. What I can do is entertain the guests, stop walkaways, and give guests a better experience before they even get into your club. I'll be an extension of your establishment. The first person that the customer's experience on the door is going to be a magical, fun and entertaining experience.
Better than a bouncer, probably.
Which is better than a bouncer, absolutely. So they've got something happening. So I'll take all of these problems and turn them into pitching lines, okay? Which is very, very important. So once you've got these pitching lines, and again, I'm just going back to my notes to make sure I don't forget anything that's in it, but is then to think about which venues you're actually going to approach.
Okay.
So what I would do is go onto Google and just get a list of all the nightclubs that are in the area. Now there's good nightclubs and there are bad nightclubs, and as a magician you want to find the ones that you're going to be most appropriate to work in. So for example, you don't want to go to a nightclub and work in one where you're going to get your head kicked in. You want to go for nice, reasonable nightclubs. So I would get a list of all the nightclubs. I'd then go onto social media and have a look at their Facebook page and just have a look at the photos and have a scan through and just see if it's a feel for the kind of nightclub you want to go to. Middle range is the best place in nightclubs. The really high-end nightclubs, if you're in sort of central London, is great. I've done a couple in really high-end nightclubs in central London, but you have to have you have to have very good promotional material to get into that, which we'll come back onto later on, how to get into that. The very high-end nightclubs, they're not going to want a magician, and if they do have a magician, it's just going to go balls up. Everyone's going to be smashed. The management aren't going to care too much. You know, anywhere that has that sells their drinks in plastic cups are the ones you want to avoid, right? That was always my rule. So you want classy, middle of the road nightclubs where the photos, everyone's looking nice and they're smiling and we're not completely ruined. Because some of the nightclubs, some of the lower end nightclubs will actually promote the incredibly wasted state that people are in. Decent nightclubs will edit those photos out of their social media. They won't want people to know that people are steaming. They want people to be having fun. So have a look for their photos. If their photos of people being completely wasted, they're not going to be the ones to go to. So yeah, I'd always look out for classy, middle of the range nightclubs. There are a whole range of nightclubs. Some of them you just want to avoid. Some of them you don't.
You wouldn't want to, because you want to have fun as a magician as well.
Of course.
You don't want to go to a place where the magic's going to be wasted and on drunk people, like you say.
Absolutely, and the other thing is, if you're thinking forward towards wanting to take your career to weddings and corporate events, you don't want photos of you in a grungy rock bar, for instance. You know, nothing there's anything wrong with grungy rock bars. I've frequented grungy rock bars many times and had a fantastic time. It's not the place to be seen doing magic. No. So you want middle of the range, people are dressed up, people are in shirts, people are looking nice, and you also can get a lot of extra assets from that, the photos, the videos and so on, for future use. So I would just get a list, find all the places that I would fit, that I think are suitable for me, and then I've thought about my pitching lines. We've got the problems, we've got the solutions. We can start thinking about how to actually go and approach these gigs with this information, which is what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about actually approaching the venues.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways in which you could go about approaching a venue, and all of the ones we'll speak about I have done, and all the ones we'll speak about have been successful in one way or another. But I think the key is, if you want to work in nightclubs, you have to go to nightclubs. Simple as that. If you want to work in nightclubs, go to nightclubs. So the first way that I got nightclubs was the stalking approach, and I absolutely love this approach, and it's still something that I've used to get some high-end gigs or some high-end residency gigs. But when I was starting nightclubs, it's a stalking approach. So essentially, you stalk a nightclub.
Did you make that yourself?
I think so, I don't know, but I mean, it just seemed to work. So it's stalking nightclubs, okay? Now that sounds a lot weirder than it actually is. It sounds sinister, it's not sinister at all. So stalking a nightclub, essentially what you do is you become so well known by the nightclub as a magician that they hire you.
Okay.
That's the idea of it. So what I would do is I would go out almost every night to various different places, but I would target the nightclubs that were sort of in my, the ones that I recognised as being the suitable nightclubs. And I would go to these nightclubs as a guest and start performing magic on the bar staff and the management, and I would do this over a number of weeks and start to build up my profile as a magician to these venues. So some good techniques in able to do that, because one thing you don't do is go into a nightclub on your own and start doing card tricks.
No.
You know, you walk up to the bar and say, hey, do you mind if I'm a magician? I'm trying to show you, can I show you some card tricks? Hey, no, wrong idea, don't do that.
Yeah, okay.
What you need to do is go in there, some good excuses for going in. Well, firstly, go with a friend if you can. If you don't go with a friend, which I have done many times, there's a few excuses of why you're in there. Oh, I've just finished work, decided to come out for a beer. But yeah, you want to go in and start being recognised as a magician.
Yeah.
So ways of going in and not saying, hey, can I show you a card trick, is to be a magical person. Okay, so when we say a magical person, what I mean is magical things happen to you. So for example, if you go and buy a beer and it's £5, you then make the money to pay for that beer appear in a flash of fire. Okay, so say, hey, can I have a beer, please? They say, yeah, that's £5. Oh, sorry, I forgot. So it's a bit of paper. Will that do?
Yeah.
They say, no, that's no good. Oh, sorry. Okay, right. Get the lighter, flash. Okay, so you're not going in straight away, and then from that they'll react really well. They go, wow, what was that? Are you a magician? Oh, yeah, I am a magician actually. Can I show you a trick?
I like the way you say that, go in as a magical person. Because if you were a magical person, you wouldn't announce it, would you? You wouldn't say, I'm a magician.
Yeah.
You just do it to impress, because you can.
Absolutely, and what that really does is it makes them ask you to show them magic. And I think that's the key. So what you do is you go in there early, sort of when it's just opening up, 10, 11 o'clock, depending on the nightclub itself, and yeah, buy a drink and make the money appear. So I used to have, I think it's the Card 2 Now app,
Yes.
which is really nice, where you can pull things out of the phone.
Yeah.
So you could have a £10 note. How much is that? Oh, £10. Okay, perfect. Boom. Pull the £10 note. Okay. So almost flash producing things.
I'm saying that flash paper is good in a nightclub because it's dark atmosphere.
It brings attention, and if you think on some of the nightclub bars are huge, very long bars indeed. So if you've got a big long bar and suddenly there's a big flash, everyone else on that bar is going to start looking across. Exactly that. So you're going in and you're just building a reputation for yourself as a magician in the eyes of these nightclubs. Showing magic on the bar staff, showing magic on the management where possible. Well, your priority should be to get in front of the management. Yeah. But so I used to go into the same nightclub every week and just be a regular, essentially. And I go in with friends, so I didn't come off as weird. Not all the time, sometimes I would go in there on my own. But if you can go in with a friend, the first time you go in there, it's good to go in with a friend. And you start to build yourself up in the eyes.
Why would you say it's good to go in with a friend?
Because it can come off as strange if you just walk into a nightclub using the stalking approach on your own.
Okay.
Because then you're going in and it's almost like you're deliberately pitching. But if you're going in with a friend, you keep it casual, you do some magic, and you start building. So the next time you go in, you can go on your own because you already know them. You've already spoken to the bar staff, you've already spoken to the management, they know you're a magician, so you go in there. And the next time you don't have to pull money out because you already know them. Yeah. You say, hey, how's it going? You buy you a drink. Hey, should we do another trick?
Yeah.
You can just go straight in with it because it's not that initial, can I show you a trick? They've already know you're a magician, so it's, hey, I've got something really cool I can show you.
Laying ground here, isn't it?
Perfect way of putting it, yeah. It's getting the foundations in place. Getting the foundations in place. And basically, you just do that to such an extent that you've gone in there so many times, they can already see the value in you, that by the end of it, you just say, actually, have you ever thought about having me actually perform here for your guests? I'll tell you what, I'll come in Friday night and I'll perform for your guests free of charge. And after that, we'll have a chat. If you think it's something that will work, we can discuss maybe me doing it on a bit more of a regular basis. If not, I'll still come in and entertain your staff whenever I've got some time. So you're building those foundations, and then you use it off the back of that, you're then going to go and pitch them. So one of the things I would do, if I was performing for management, I'll start dropping seeds, planting seeds.
Yes.
Okay. So we've spoken about the problems and solutions. I would start using the problems and solutions whilst performing my tricks. So, you might do a trick and they freak out and you say, God, I bet you could imagine how good that'd be on the queue outside to keep those guys entertained. And you just a little off the cuff comment, nothing, dropping a hint, absolutely, but not being anything more than, hey, I bet this would entertain your guests on the queue quite well. The other thing is, and I've done this a lot actually, I'll be doing some magic and then for the bar staff or whatever, or the management, and then straight off the bat I go, you got a VIP booth in here, haven't you? Do you mind if I show them some magic? And they said, yeah, please, by all means, go and show them some magic. And I'll go and smash the VIP area. Ideally get it filmed if I can, either by a member of staff or someone that you're with. And that works really well. But once you get in a position where they know that you're willing to go out and perform for people, you know, I've had management say, oh, I've got a table over here, it's their birthday, they would love you, do you mind showing these guys something? And by that point, they're already starting to see the value of the service that you can offer, because, yeah, that's a great way as well. You go in and you're showing tricks or whatever, and as long as they start to like you as well, that's a big thing. You know, they have to like you and see the value in your magic, and then just start saying, oh, can I perform for these guys, can I perform for these guys? And the other thing is, once you've done it for the staff, you're then there. So if you're with a mate again, just go and start performing magic on some other people randomly. Just go and enjoy yourself, go and do some magic, get that social proof, get those videos, get those photos as you're doing it. Yeah. So
one thing I wanted to ask you, because you said if you frequent nightclubs, do you have to frequent nightclubs to work in a nightclub as a magician?
I don't think you have to. No? There are different approaches, some of which we'll speak about, but this was the way I approached nightclubs. So again, So you used to go to nightclubs, you were a nightclub goer anyways? Or? Slightly. I certainly was when I was starting to pitch nightclubs. Okay. But I would use it was part of the process. So I thought, if I am a magician, I want to be a magician and I want to work in nightclubs. So I'm going to go to nightclubs and start performing magic. Yeah. So I used to perform magic literally everywhere I went. I would do it at the shop. I would do it in Tesco's. I would do it at nightclubs if I was going to a nightclub. If I went to a bar or a restaurant, I'd be doing magic somewhere. And that's how the stalking approach came about. Okay. So it's just an approach of being so well known by a nightclub that they almost have to have your services. And they can really start seeing the value in it. And again, it goes up to being cheeky as well. If I was doing a trick on a manager, I'd do a double lift, I'd say, oh, if that card changes in your hand, you'd probably say, fuck it, get this guy a job. You know, and it's about just planting those seeds, building up a relationship, letting them know the value, planting the seeds of the benefits that you can bring. We know the problems, we know the solutions, so start letting them know what those problems and solutions are. Once you get to know them well enough and you've been performing, you can start saying, how about I come in next week and I perform properly for your staff. I've just been doing some little bits because I've just been on night out, but I will come in and I'll bring all my good stuff.
Yeah, because you don't want to go, it's a fine line, isn't it? Because you don't want to think, well, they want to think they can have me for free all the time. You've got to cut off.
Absolutely.
You know, there is, you can't hire me. Yeah. Sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the great thing with the stalking approach, and I've had this, is where the management have said, oh, we've got a birthday party over here. Do you mind going and performing for these guys? And this would be after I've said, oh, you've got a VIP area over here. Do you mind if I show them something? Yeah. As soon as they've done that and they've said, can you go and perform for this group? Yeah. That's when you know.
No, that they want. Yes. I was going to say to you, have you ever been asked to go and do some more, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the kind, if you're doing good magic and good tricks, some of which I used to do that I'm going to explain later on as a part of this project, once they can see the value in it, you can know when they see the value because I'll ask you to show magic to other people. Yes. As soon as they ask you to show magic to other people, or they go, oh, Dave's here, we love Dave. Dave, come check this out, check this out. That's when you know you can pitch them. And when I say pitch, again, you've already got a relationship established with them. So I just say, how would you feel if I came in next week? I'll do it for free and I'll perform for all of your guests like a proper gig. And I won't charge you, and then we'll have a chat after about whether it's something you want to do on a regular basis. Okay. And then I'll go out, get the photos, get the videos, smash it, that gig, and then come back, show them the photos, show them the videos. Ideally, you want to be doing magic in front, like to the customers, but be aware of where the management are as much as possible. Make sure you're doing it early as well. And and have a chat with them after and say, so look, here's what I did, what do you think about that? And he says, that's really good. I'll tell you what, I'm happy to come in every week. Normally I would charge X amount of money, but I've really liked this club. You know I'm in here quite a lot. I enjoy your customers, I enjoy your staff. I'll come in, I'll do it for half price. Yes. The good thing is, they don't know what half price is. Right, so say you wanted to go for 75 quid. You said, that's what I want to get. You said, well, normally I would charge 150 quid, but I really like this. I'll tell you what I'll do it for 75 quid, chuck in some free beers and free entry for the rest of the week or whatever, you know. And then that's a really good pitching point to have. So again, building high is always good. You know, I'll do it for half price for you guys. Okay. They don't know what half price is.
They don't know. That's a a good point, yeah.
Yeah, so that is the stalking approach that I use, and that seems to went really well. And then this leads me on to the free gig approach as well. So if you didn't want to put the full time in, of going there for a couple of weeks or months beforehand, is the free gig approach. So once you've got your social proof in line, you approach the club and you say, hey, I'm a magician. I specialise in performing at nightclubs and adding value to customers' experiences. I really like this club. I've been in here a couple of times before. I love the venue. I love the staff. I would really like to show you a little bit of what I can do for your customers. So how would you feel about if I came in and performed for free next Friday night, and then we'll have a chat after it. If it's something you think would work well, excellent. If not, don't worry about it. First thing they'll say is, how much do you charge? You say, well, look, don't worry about price at the moment. Just let me come in and entertain your guests, and then we'll talk about cost after. So all you want is just them to give you permission to perform for your guests for free. So one good way of doing that is you can either book it in. So you go in, you have a meeting and say, look, how about I come in next Friday and perform for your guests. The other thing is, go in on a Friday, say, I'm a magician, I'd love the venue, can I perform for your guests? They say yes. Say, excellent, I could come in next Friday, but I'm here now. How about I go and smash it for the next 2 hours, and then we have a chat about it after, or either straight after or whatever, and then just go out and just absolutely smash it. So basically all you've done is you've got permission to go and do magic for a couple of hours. The worst that can happen is you get loads of good videos, photos, social proof. Again, if you've gone in with someone else, which is really good. If you go on your own, that's a really good pitch to do. You just say, hey, I'm a magician. Can I come in and show you guests of magic for a couple of hours? I'd really like to work here and show you the benefits of having me as a performer. And yeah, that's it. That's the free gig approach. You just ask them if you can go and do a gig for free. Yeah. After that, you do the same thing again. I really like working here. Here's some of the problems. Here are some of the solutions. Normally I charge £200, but I really like this venue. How about we start off at £100 a week on a Saturday night? We'll do it on a week by week basis. Say, pay me next week. If you don't want me the week after, don't worry about it. No problem. Okay. So yeah, that's the free gig approach, which is a really good one. Then you've got the social media approach, and that's again making sure you've got those videos and photos and social proof in place, is then just messaging them on social media. Say, hey, I'm a magician, can I come in and perform for your guests one night for free? So the free, always offer a free night, because then because the thing is, they don't know the value a magician can bring until you've spoken to them and until they've seen you perform and can really see what you can do. But if you want to set it up, going on to Facebook and messaging them is a really good way. I played around with emails. Don't think email works very well. No. Cold calls, they're not open till late, and then once they are open, it's a loud, busy environment. So that's not the best way to do it either. So yeah, look, if you want to work in a nightclub, go to nightclubs, perform magic. That is it. It's not too hard, and then it's a numbers game. Go to as many as you can. Like I was saying to you earlier on, I used to go out every single night performing somewhere.
So nightclubs open every night? Or?
So the busiest is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Sorry, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then you'll find a lot of nightclubs are open on a Sunday. The reason for that is the industry night on a Sunday. Right. So this would be, you have a lot of the bars that shut at 11 o'clock. Right. But on a Friday, Saturday, they're open till 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Okay. So Sunday is their end of the week. Right. So all the industry, you'll find a lot of the bars and restaurants, they all get together and go get pissed up on a Sunday night. So in a club, yeah. So some of the clubs are really busy on Sundays because you've got the industry people having their end of the week from the bars that shut earlier. So yeah, Sunday is a really good night to pitch as well. And if you're working on a Sunday, you're going to get loads of connections because it is industry night, and it's busy for there's a lot of promotions go on a Sunday as well because it is a slightly quieter night a lot of the time. They put a lot of promotions on it for students and such especially. So yeah, Sundays can be a very Sunday fun day and
talk and get a lot of information as well from.
Absolutely, yeah. I've done a lot of networking on Sunday nights and got a lot of bookings at different nightclubs or different clubs or bars off the back of it. So yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the main ones. But you will, especially if you're in cities, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, they may still be open. They'll be running a lot of student nights on those nights. They will be quieter. So then you've got the pitching line of it's quieter on a Wednesday, so why don't you use a magician as a way of getting more people out?
So it's an area that magicians are missing out on, isn't it? Nightclubs, because that's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. You get residency.
You can get so much out of it, and the residencies I had in Southampton, no one's filled my place. since I stopped doing the nightclubs.
No other magician?
Even now, no one's gone in. I know a couple. I know they were searching for magicians to fill my place, and they had a couple. Obviously, they didn't do a good enough job or whatever. But I had these residencies for 4 or 5 years, and since I've stopped doing them, there's no one working in these nightclubs anymore. But like you said, when I went there, when we went out filming the other night, everyone knew me in both of the nightclubs that we went to, and that connection is still there.
After
Two and a half years or so, absolutely, yes. Those connections are in place, and no one's replaced me in that area. And again, because it's those connections building up. You build up those connections. So if you want to approach a nightclub, the best thing is honestly to get connections there. Go to nightclubs, perform magic, be a decent guy. Don't be a weirdo. Please don't be a weirdo. And keep it casual and have fun and just enjoy yourself and be a magical person. Everywhere you go, start performing magic if you want to go in the world of being a magician. Because the worst that can happen is you get more practice at being a magician. Go out, bars, clubs, restaurants, shops, anywhere you can, and just do magic. Be a magical person. Don't do it in a weird way. Don't ask people to pick a card, make magic appear, do magical things around you. And I'd say that another good technique as well. If you're itching to show someone magic, right, and you're in a bar or restaurant or something like that, as you're waiting for a drink to be served, start springing your cards between your hands.
I never understand why magicians say, "Can I show you a magic trick?"
It's so much better to be asked. If you can build an environment,
just, like you say, just do it. Just
do something.
If you're pulling money out in a magical way.
I think and you're absolutely right there. One of the worst things is to ask if you can show someone a trick on the first encounter.
A lot of people just say, no, I don't want to see a magic trick. Then you get shot down.
You're giving them the option. Yeah, absolutely.
You just do it, I think.
And you're just doing something fun and interesting and engaging. One of the things I used to do if I was at a bar that I used to work at, whilst I was ordering a drink, I'll have the cards in my hand, I'll start springing the cards between my hand. First thing they're going to say is, "You a magician or something?" Yeah, I am actually. I'll tell you what, pick a card. Again, you're not saying no, just go on, pick a card. You're saying you're intriguing them first, and they're asking you, and that's such an important thing. If you can get them to ask you, or at least say, "Are you a magician?" If they say, "Oh, what, are you a magician or something?" "Yeah, I am actually. Go on, take out a card," or "Let me show you something with this." It's just weird to say, "Can I show you a trick?" straight off the bat. So build those connections early on. Be decent to people. Start talking to people. Go out to nightclubs. Perform magic as much as possible, and then pitch them. Know your problems, know solution, and pitch them for what it is. Okay, so let's assume that you have got a gig. We're going to spend a bit of time talking about how to keep the gig and a little bit about the environment of working in a nightclub as well. So the first thing, let's talk about the environment. So there's lots of different places inside of a nightclub that you could work. You've got the bar area, the smoking area, or the roof terrace in some occasions, or the queue. You've got the VIP areas. Lots of different places around the nightclub that you could be working. My main advice for this would just be avoid the dance floor. You'll find that a lot of the music is just centered towards the dance floor, but as soon as you go outside of this, you'll find it quite a lot quieter and a lot easier to work in. Okay. If you're going to perform on the dance floor, you're going to struggle because it is going to be loud. Now, a lot of the other places are going to be loud as well. You'll often find there's booths, Mangoes that we went to this weekend. They had all the booths around the outside, and VIP areas as well. These areas are going to be loud, but they're not going to be full whack volume loud because all this music is centered down. It does just take the edge off, and you can perform quite well inside of these areas. Queues, again, I'll be honest, queues are one of the places I hated performing at more than anywhere else, because you are essentially the first point of contact. So say, for example, you're on a queue, you're going to meet the people who are really, really drunk before the bouncers even meet them, because the bouncers are going to be on the door. So there's a lot of potential there to be dealing with a lot of excessively drunk people before they've even had a chance to be kicked out of the club. So let's talk about queues for a moment. So if you are working on a queue, again, it's a very beneficial thing for a nightclub to have a magician performing on a queue. When performing on a queue, I would always start 10 minutes before the point of entry. Yeah. So that would be the point that takes 10 minutes to go down to the front. Okay. And the reason for doing this, if you find a group that are really good, because queues are stressful because it's non-stop. You are constantly doing magic on people. Yeah. So I'd stay in the point that is 10 minutes away from the entry point, do a trick, If they were okay, they move down, you carry on with another one. But if you find a group that are really good and really fun, and really enjoying your magic, and people you can have a bit of banter with, I know I've got 10 minutes to walk with them right up to the front of the queue. And it's almost like a breather, because you've got people who are really good, really engaging, really fun. You can just have a laugh with them for 10 minutes. Yeah. And that's really valuable when you're working on the queues for quite a long time. Yeah. Oh yes, excuse me, it's been a long day, hasn't it? So yeah, and so that's very valuable, having that time from there. You could do it more than 10 minutes as well if you wanted, but I always find 10 minutes is a very good place to do. If you do it too close and you find these good people, by the time you've done anything, they're straight off into the club. They're into the club. But yeah, the only thing that you might struggle with is having very drunk people in the queue before you get there. Now, often if it is a big queue, you might have bouncers patrolling the queue, but they're not going to be necessarily dishing people out straight away as such. So yeah, but queues are fun, and you can have a lot of fun on queues, but yeah, I'd always start about 10 minutes beforehand before working in. My favourite place to work was always the smoking area or the beer garden. The reason for this is the music is a lot quieter, for a start. Like we went to Parfait doing some filming this weekend. It had a lovely bar outside, but it's quiet, it's well lit, and it's a big space. You know, there's a big space in there, and I'd treat it like a restaurant gig. And the good thing about that is if there's people that you don't particularly want to perform to, you can tell that you don't want to perform to them way in advance. It's not like when you're on the queue where you're almost forced to perform to people. So yeah, the beer gardens are great. Smoking areas, because you can treat it like a restaurant gig. You can just float around and do magic on the people who you really want to, and they're also going to be able to appreciate it more because you can talk to them and you can do anything you want. You can do long-winded, ambitious card tricks. I used to do hypnosis up there, and you know the concentration and the volumes that you need for hypnosis. So you was able to do that. And this is one of the key things when picking a venue is find places. I'd always find places that had these kind of beer gardens. They're very important to me. I had one gig and I was there for about 2 months, and it was essentially a big bar in a U shape and then the dance floor in the middle. And I was there for about 2 months and I left. But they wanted me to stay, but I said, look, it's not working out. And the reason was there just wasn't these places to have a bit of respite. So when you're working in a beer garden, you can really take it easy, take it casual.
You have to choose the nightclub that's suitable for you. You can't just
absolutely
any nightclub. Sometimes it's
Yeah, absolutely, and I learned that the hard way. And again, like I've done gigs in places. It's just not practical. Sometimes it is too loud, and it's not an ideal place. You want places that are either going to have a big queue and you use that as your selling point, or places that have that kind of smoking area. I am sorry. I'm so sorry. It's been such a long day. We were out filming till late last night. But yeah, so the smoking areas are great. The VIP areas as well are really great, because these are people, one, they have a bit of money, so Tipsville, and also a great place to get the spin-off bookings, which we'll speak about a little bit later on. But yeah, they're the main areas that you'll be performing in a nightclub. The VIP areas, the smoking areas and the beer gardens. The bar area is really good as well, because if you've got a busy night and people are waiting to get their drinks, this is a great place. It's normally a little bit quieter. Again, we were out in the club and people could hear me fine, and we were performing even on the dance floor, which I recommend you don't. But we were performing all throughout the club, and it was a loud club.
It surprised me that they could actually hear you. Pick up, the magic you were doing was very visual anyway.
And that's the big point. It's very animated with what you're doing, and if you take a card, show everyone the card, you're being very animated, and almost like you're doing sign language. We talk them through exactly what it is that you're doing. In the bar area, it will be loud, but it's a very good place to do this, to do magic in. So there's some of the environment of a nightclub, some of the places that you can work in, and all of those are beneficial. So always look out for clubs that have those kind of areas, because that's the places you're working. And then it's important, a good way of keeping gig is just to keep the staff engaged in everything you do as much as possible. So I'd always if I could, I'd get to the club early, at least half an hour early, and start to show magic on the bar staff and such. And then throughout the night, every time I get a drink from the bar or whatever, I'm showing them a trick and keeping them involved, because they're the ones who are going to be talking to the management about how good you are. They're going to be singing your praises to the management, and you want that feedback to go back to the management as much as possible. It's almost more important to be impressing the bar staff than it is the guests. Because again, they're the ones who are going to be keeping you on. They're the ones that need to know that you are absolutely smashing it. So performing for the staff as much as possible is going to really help you keep your progression at the club going. And then for the management as well, the management, at the end of the night when you're getting paid, show them a trick. You're going down to the office, say, hey, I've got something new I've been working on. But essentially with the management, you want to be friends with them. You want to be nice, decent, tell them how good your night was, tell them how much you've enjoyed it, even if it wasn't, and it was a horrible night, but tell them how good it was. And show them magic as well, and keep them engaged, and make sure you're having a conversation about the work that you've done. Yeah. So, I've done this tonight and it didn't work very well, so I'm thinking this time, maybe if I perform in this area. You're just coaching them through what you're thinking, because the thing is, if you're in a busy nightclub, they're not going to know where you are half of the time.
No.
They really aren't. You could literally be anywhere, you're just floating around the club doing different bits, so you coach them through what's working well for you.
Obviously you want to know what you're doing. You could be skiving in the toilet.
you could, yeah, absolutely. And speaking about bar areas are really good, especially if you're hired early on in the night. You've got a whole bar which you could do magic on, card on the box or whatever else. It's a really nice place to be working earlier on. But yeah, performing for the management as much as possible right there as well. And regulars, you're going to get a lot of regulars in there, so make sure you're keeping updated tricks every week, and it's a really great way to start building a large repertoire of magic. You can try out new things, because chances are 50% of the people there aren't going to remember what you're doing anyway the next morning, because they're going to be that drunk and they forget what happened. But having lots of tricks for regulars is very important as well. So you're keeping everything updated, and it keeps you on your toes. I had to have a new trick every week to show the management. I had to have new tricks every week to show the bar staff. I had to have new tricks to show the regulars. So it really does get.
So there are certain tricks, obviously, to avoid. You obviously want to do visual stuff. I don't know if you're going to probably cover that a bit later.
Yes. I mean, obviously, visual is good, but I've done 10-minute long ambitious card tricks in a club.
Right.
I think there is that misconception that because it's dark, it has to be visual. It doesn't have to be visual. It helps, and it's a nice touch if you want to add some fire and whatever else in, but it's not necessary. Okay. I have done gigs in nightclubs before, and I've just had a deck of cards.
Wow. Okay.
And it worked fine. People are freaking out. The little extras where you got card and Haribo, which we'll talk about, or the friction pen at the end and things like that work really well as well. But I think it's just this preconceived conception that you need visual, quick stuff, and it's not necessary. If you're on the queue, you could do mind reading stuff, you could do hypnosis, you could do, there's no reason why you need quick visual stuff necessarily. Quick helps, you don't want to be dragging it on, but I think that's in any environment. If you're at a wedding or a corporate event, you still need quick visual visual stuff, I think in terms of material, there's some stuff included in this as well, which we're going to talk about at the end of this. Okay. So we've got some bits on that as well. But it's stuff that you enjoy as well. That's the other thing. I think, here's a few good tips though, is easily resettable.
That's good, yeah.
Definitely need easily resettable, because you saw Parfait that we went to this weekend, one of my resident nightclubs. You saw how narrow that stair was that we had to go up and down.
You don't want to
have to keep going up and down to a case and whatever else. So you need stuff that you can keep self-contained and will last you a while. Because it can be a nightmare in clubs. It can be busy, and if you've got your bag behind the bar, it might take you 20 minutes to get to the bar to just get around when it's really busy. But all this is stuff you'll learn as you're there anyway. But it's stuff
you can carry in your pocket.
Stuff you can carry in your pocket. Stuff that's easily resettable. Stuff that is fun for you as well. It has to be fun for you. You have to enjoy doing it. But the good thing about, like I said, performing every week for the new tricks, you're going to get a huge repertoire, because you're going to be building up material as you're getting new stuff for the management and the bar staff and such. It's important as well to keep the photographer on side.
Right.
Every nightclub tends to have a nightclub photographer, so you want this person to be taking great photos of you all the time. So I liaise with the photographer before I start and talk to them about when is a good place to take the photos. If I'm doing a VIP booth, I grab them if I can. Say, oh, I'm going to do the VIP booth now, come get some photos. And they love it because they're just there taking pictures of piss people all night.
Yeah.
So when they've got something different happening, something that they can get photos of, and these reaction shots, it's really beneficial for you because the club are going to see that when they look back through the photos, as in the management will see that. The photographer, because he's got different photos of people really enjoying themselves, and for you, because you can use these photos on your social media and such as time goes on, which will help repitch for other clubs, which we'll talk about later on as well. So getting a good contact with the photographer, I think, is so important. And if you do share it online, make sure you tag in the photographer. Ask permission first, but make sure you're tagging the photographer, tagging the nightclub, and then share it around as much as you can. Keeping the photographer on is really important. One of the best things you can do. And you can get if you want to increase your likes on Facebook, say for example, right, I'm working at Parfait, right, and one of the managers are downstairs, and they just sort of tend to just flick through Facebook and stuff. That's just what they do in nightclubs. Keeping an eye on the social media side. Now imagine if they're going through their social media and they get a ding, the nightclub's been tagged in a post, right, and it's been tagged in a post, and it's you having a selfie with a group of people or whatever, right? And then 10 minutes later, ding, they get another thing. And again, it's you being tagged in a post, and it's just say, oh, the magician's great in Parfait or whatever. And then ding, and all night they're just getting these tags of you in the nightclub.
So nightclubs use social media quite a lot then? Absolutely,
yeah. It's their biggest selling point. It's the biggest way they get people into a club. Okay. So to get tagged, you do a trick on them. And there's a couple of different ways. One is you just say, look, hey, tell you what, film this, you're going to want to do. You're going to want to film this. Or take some photos of this, you're going to love taking some photos of this. Yeah. If you want to do it on your phone, which is quite nice as well, just literally give your phone to someone, say, take some photos of this. And then do your set, and then at the end of it, just say, actually add me on Facebook and tag me in it. And then, tag the club as well. Right? I guarantee if you've just done a 10-minute set on them and they really liked you and your performance, they're going to have no problem tagging you in that. The other thing is just take their phone off them.
Yeah, you do it yourself.
Do it yourself. I've done that loads, and a good way of getting their phones out is I would have a prediction on my Facebook saying tonight at Parfait someone will pick the 9 hearts, and then I would do a force of 9 hearts, and then I get everyone to say, right, everyone get your phones out. Right, so you all get their phones out, and I say, right, now search my name, Stephen Simmons. Right, say search my name, Stephen Simmons, and I say have a look at the last post, and there's a 9 hearts, and I say when was that made? 2 hours ago, brilliant. And I say like now you've got your phones out, everyone hit like, and they will because it's a fun thing to say. Everyone hit like, so they all hit like, right? And I was actually, look, while you got your phones out, you got some photos of this, didn't you? Actually, all right, perfect. Could you just tag me in actually, just give me the phone, I'll do it. And then just literally go onto their page and write, this magician's amazing.
Yes,
this magician's amazing at Cafe Parfait. And it's done with a bit of tongue-in-cheek and a bit of banter, be like, give me your phone, do me a favour, I'm going to write, this magician is amazing at Cafe Parfait. Is that okay to send? Yep.
Yeah.
Boom, done. And that just kind of, again, just goes with the cheeky style that I had. And but yeah, you can make 30, 40 likes a night for your Facebook page doing that. And that's a great way then for the club to see that you're doing stuff, because you're constantly being tagged in things. You're tagging the club at the same time as well. So, yeah, that works really well. And so you get loads of photos every night, photos, videos, different things that are happening. And I guess the last thing as well is just when you're at a nightclub is just treat it like a job. So be nice to people. Yeah. Do what you say you're going to do. Turn up when you say you're going to say. Don't be late. Be punctual. If you're going to be late, tell them you're going to be late in advance, because they will get funny at that. I mean, luckily, once you build up a bit of a relationship with the nightclub, you can get away with, sorry, I've got a gig this evening, can I come a little bit later? And they're fine with that. But, you have to treat them with respect and not take the mick. And it sounds like obvious things to say, but you'd be surprised how many magicians I know tried working in nightclubs and lost their job just because of that. Right. He's 20 minutes late every night. Just to us, we don't think nothing of it. But
to them, it's...
So then it's a big thing. You do have to keep that being punctual about it. Any other thoughts about the environment of a nightclub?
No, I think pretty much covered.
That's it. Cool. So that's a little bit about the environment, a little bit about what you will be required to do, where you'll be required to work, where it's best. And at the moment, we're going to talk a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to expand a little bit more and get more in detail about some of the things that we've spoken about just a moment ago, and talking about club life in general. So I think it's important to just, like we spoke about being nice to people, but manners and customer service are a very important part of working in a nightclub. You are an extension of the establishment, right? You are not a magician in your own right when you're working in a nightclub. You are an extension of the establishment. You are a member of staff for the time you are there. You're employed. So it's important to be polite to everyone you meet, the staff especially, but also the guests. It's important to have customer service skills. If people don't know where the toilet is, show them where the toilet is. If people are falling over, help them up. Just be a decent human being. That's very important in a nightclub. Don't think you're God's gift because you're the nightclub magician. You are still there to help the nightclub run and function and work better. Use your common sense. If there's a big queue forming outside, right, or if it gets started really busy inside, you can assume there's a big queue outside. So use your common sense and go outside and start working on the queue. Start to work in the places that are the best place for you to work. But make sure the management know it as well. That's very important. So you say, right, I can see there's a queue outside. I think it'd be good if I go and work outside. So take control and then appreciate that, because you are taking control and you're using your discretion to go out. Even if you don't enjoy the queue. I didn't enjoy the queue particularly, okay? I did enjoy it, but out of all the places, I didn't enjoy the queue the most. But use your discretion. If there's going to be a big queue, get outside and work the queue. They'll appreciate that, because that's what the most valuable place for you to be at that time is. And at the end of the day, they need to see the value you're bringing. Using your discretion around the club, making sure you're in the right places. If you see a big VIP table come in, I'm going to go and hit the VIP table. Keeping them engaged and informed of what you're doing is important as well. But don't go searching for them to do it, because that's just wasting time, of course. But make sure you're seen in all the right places at all the right time. Sometimes in VIP areas, they always make a big point. They bring over buckets with vodka bottles and they put little sparklers in the top and things like that. In every nightclub I went to, they've done that. It makes a big point. They parade it through the club, bringing it to the VIP area. So that's a good chance to go in and follow up, because all those bar staff are going to see you going into the VIP area, and really getting stuck in. So we haven't spoken about handling drunk people particularly, have we?
No, we didn't.
We did, and then the camera cut out in that one. Okay.
That's a camera issue.
So handling drunk people. So of course, you work in a nightclub, there are going to be a lot of drunk people, okay? Especially as the night gets later and later. One of the clubs I used to work in, I didn't start until 11 o'clock and I finished at 2 o'clock. Right. So by 2 o'clock, some of the people are steaming, and these are people getting violently drunk sometimes, being whipped out of the club by the bouncers. So the first thing I would suggest is, if you're going, don't perform for drunk people. That's the first thing I would say. So it's very easy to see if someone's drunk. You can tell. Which
would probably be quite hard in a nightclub, but I suppose there's degrees of drunk being drunk.
There's degrees of drunk. There's degrees of drunk. I mean, again, if you're working the queue or the bar or the smoking terraces, it's quite light anyway. You'll be able to see who's drunk. You can hear who's drunk. Even in a dark place, you can tell at a glance if they're steaming. You can tell pretty quickly. And you want to avoid them where possible, because it's just not worth it. One, because you don't want the management and staff seeing you struggling through a set. That's not a good look. It'll also deflate you, and you don't want to be deflated. Nightclub, it's a long night, it's a hot night. You don't want to be deflated as you're going through things. And the other thing is, don't take your magic as a challenge.
That's what we said, yes, So sometimes when they respond, if you picked a drunk person, they respond in the wrong way, and they might get you back up. You think, well, I've got to prove them wrong,
Yes.
It's not about that, isn't it? It's not about that. Move on.
Yeah, move on. But I think you can't take yourself too seriously at a nightclub, because if you take yourself too seriously, they will, and you don't want them to be taking you too seriously in regards of, I'm a trickster man type of. You want to be, when you're doing magic to drunk people, it's not a challenge, it's some fun. That's how you need to present it. You're just having some fun with them, okay? So you don't want to go up and treat anything like a challenge. So there's any kind of potential for conflict, okay? It has to just be a challenge. Now you'll see with some of the tricks that I do, I actually explain how I get things wrong on purpose and various other things to really help that idea of just being a bit of fun.
You also mentioned about when you approach a group, that you approach the men first?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's important. Approaching the males first, because you don't want to be in any way as you say, get people's backs up. So imagine you're in a nightclub. There's a couple who are out with two partners or whatever. Yeah, male and a female, and then suddenly this guy walks up to the female, puts her hand on his shoulder, and says, "Hey, I want to show you a trick." You know. It's a weird thing to do, right? Yeah. That's instantly going to get the boyfriend going, all right, what's going on? He doesn't know you work there. He doesn't know what the situation is.
He just thinks you're hitting on his girlfriend. So.
Even if he only thinks that for half a second, that's half a second too long, because that's the first initial reaction he's going to get. So I always think it's very important, especially when drinks are involved, to go for the male first. Yeah. That's just my advice. I would always go for the male first. Hey, I'm the magician. Do you mind if I show you guys some magic? You know, I'm the nightclub magician. And that just gets that initial first half a second where they might think, oh no, I wish he didn't say that out of the way. Yeah, so that's so important to get that done. Hit the males first. The real key is don't approach drunk people if you don't have to. And you don't have to. Don't feel you have to approach everyone in a nightclub. No. Okay. And the thing is, you're not there to do bad magic or to do challenges with people or have the piss taken out of you. You know, you're there to entertain people who want to have fun. Yeah. And the best people are the screamers. Okay, there is a gag there, but I'll leave it. But there is the most important people, the best people to perform to are the people who are really going to love it and enjoy it. Now, if you get a group like this, stick to that group as much as possible. You know, because that it's like a domino effect, right? They'll scream and shout and cheer, and then other people will get interested and involved. But if you're the challenge and you're there with drunk people who aren't appreciating it, that's knock-on effect's not going to happen. It's just going to look like you're struggling. So you want to, I would always have at least enough material for around 30 minutes in a nightclub. Okay. I could easily do 30 minutes. Sometimes I've just been stood in one place for an hour. Just repeating that cycle of 30-minute effects, because some people come in and some people go. But when you hit a good group, stick with them, enjoy it, have fun with them. Because again, nightclubs can be stressful. So going in and doing 5 minutes on a good group and then buggering off, you're wasting an opportunity. You're wasting an opportunity to, one, enjoy yourself, two, really have a group that is enjoying it as well.
One thing I did notice when I came with you to watch you perform is it's quite an exciting place to perform.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
A lot going on, and you know, I did enjoy it. When you perform. So
excellent. Yeah, no, it is. It's exciting. It's fun. It's vibrant. It's bouncy. Yeah. Everyone's enjoying it. And if you pick the right people to perform to, you get into that zone and that feeling and energy of the nightclub as well, which is great. And that's why you don't want to be handling idiots or drunk people, because it's just going to deflate you. So let's say, for example, you approach a group and they turn out to be absolute idiots, right? Quick colour change them off. Right, pick a card. Right, was that your card? Right, I'll tell you what, I'll change it into your card. Hey, thank you very much, enjoy your night. No messing about, because it's just not worth it. There's no fun in it. They're not going to appreciate it, so why should you bother giving them the satisfaction of seeing good magic? The other thing is, drunk people, you know, they will say they won't appreciate it like they should. You know you're an amazing magician, but you'll go there and they just won't get it, or they just struggle to actually see it, and they'll be like, you know, taking the mick, and you know, it's not working out well. And again, you just got to take it with a pinch of salt. Yeah. Drunk girls are the worst. Right. Drunk girls are the worst. They're the ones who have to shuffle it, and they take the card and put it down their knickers, or in the, you know, it's a nightmare sometimes.
You don't want your card back.
No, you don't want your card back after that, especially the state of some of these girls. Anyway, so avoid drunks where possible, and if you do get them, just quickly do a trick and off, and focus on the positive, energetic people who are really going to enjoy it. And yeah, so we've spoken about the queues and the beer gardens. Again, they're the best places to work. We've spoken about going around to all the different places in a club and making sure you're using your discretion to make sure you're doing it in the right way. In terms of actually getting paid by the club, I never had a contract with a nightclub, okay, especially from the first pitch. So I didn't want to pitch them and say, right, take me on a 6-month contract. Because if they say you were contracted to them, if they don't want you, they're just going to get rid of you anyway. What are you going to do? Like, if they don't want you anymore, if they don't want you anymore. So always work on just a week-by-week basis, just an understanding. And at the end of the night, you get your money, and then you go. And that's it, easy. So I'd never have a contract in place. There was nothing like that at all. Just you go there, you get your money. You might have to sign a receipt at the end saying that you've received it. And yeah, but I think essentially from all of this, nightclubs are really good fun, and you meet amazing people, you get to connect with amazing people, and you get to really hone and develop your skills as a magician, which is just an invaluable tool in terms of moving on to up your game. Now, in terms of pricing, I would work at a nightclub for anywhere between £75 and £150. That was the average. Now, I used to work at 4 residencies. One of them took me on 2 nights, so that's 5 performances. Now, even if we take that at the lower end of £75, what's that? £400, right? That's not bad, and you're doing this after your day's work. You know, you're not doing it 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. They give you free drinks for that. Yeah, some of them will give you vouchers. So some of the nightclubs will give me, 4 drinks vouchers for the night. Other ones would just give me free reign at a bar. I could have whatever I wanted. So it varies. But I'd always just include that, and they're happy with that. But if you don't state that when you're negotiating, just say, all right, so it's X amount of money, and chuck in some beers as well, will you?
Yes, yeah.
If you drink beer, which I certainly did at the time. But so I won't worry about contracts. Pricing anywhere between 75 and 150. Now, you can get more than that, and the most I had a regular gig was 250 on a regular. That was one of these ones I had once a month, and that's the thing. You don't have to have it every week. You can have it once a month. And the other thing is, if you don't get a weekly gig, start pitching them for their special events. Christmas, Freshers Week, Halloween. These are all times where a magician could work really well as well. So you don't have to just think about having it on a weekly residency basis. Although they're good, you make a lot. If you have 6 nightclubs in the bag where you're just doing once a month, that's a lovely 6 of them. That's still, over 1 a week.
Yes.
On average. So pick it up on those. Those are really good. It doesn't have to be weekly. Negotiate raising your pay after you've been there for a while. I think is an important thing to do. Once they know the value of you and they keep getting you back, yes. You have to say, look, I've been offered a gig at another nightclub or whatever. We will talk about getting gigs at other nightclubs in a minute, but start raising your fee, £10 every 6 months, something like that. And I think over 4 years you can increase it quite a lot because it's just done in small increments. So I don't think there's anything more to say on pay, really. Just do it on a week by week basis. Take your cash at the end of the night, and excellent. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to get spin-off gigs from a nightclub, which is very important. If you can get weddings or birthdays or parties or anything like that from your nightclub work, then you're just further increasing your reputation as a magician. So there's a few ways. One is your sort of networking at the nightclub itself. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned this while the camera was working or whether it was one of the times where it broke, but Sunday nights are a really good time because Sundays, if you're hired on a Sunday, it's an industry night. And what this means is that a lot of the bars and restaurants, all the industry type suppliers out there, on a Sunday night they all tend to go out and get smashed because that's their week done then. They've done their busy Friday night, they've done their busy Saturday night, they've worked on Sunday and it'll close early, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and then as a group, as a staff lot, they'll all go out. Okay? If they don't go out as a staff lot, then they will still go out in their own right. So this is a great place to be networking and marketing and communicating with other people who own bars, clubs, restaurants. And I've got a lot of extra work at various venues just from talking to people on these nights, and that's very important. Say someone wants to book you for anything, have business cards, of course, and give them a business card, but really you want to take their details. Okay, so what I'd have various different ways. One is to connect with them on Facebook. So you'd have them add you as a friend. You'd have them like your page, and then you'd follow up with them the next day. So you send them a message. Hey, it was great to meet you. You mentioned you had a wedding coming up. I'd love to send you some information. By doing it this way, by taking their details, means that you're in control. Okay. If you didn't take it, the chances are that business card will be in the bin or in a washing machine or just lost on the floor because they got drunk or whatever else. So being able to take control is very important in this regard. So always take their details, and that's very important now, even at weddings and corporate events. Get their details. So again, you can use it through Facebook, or you can have a notepad on your phone and I'll type your details in. Facebook for me has always been the best one. Just here, search my name, add me as a friend, and then you can go and speak to them after that. So I think that's very important. You also have to remember that there's things like weddings, stag parties, hen do's, birthday parties, all these types of things that you can start to get involved in. So say there's a hen party, right? Now they're getting married in a couple of weeks, right? These days hen parties tend not to be the night before the wedding. They're normally at least a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that beforehand. I don't think it's
stag do's or hen nights before.
not the night before anymore. No, it used to be the tradition, I think.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be 3-4 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So you can start planting seeds again. I love planting seeds when you're doing things like this. So you do a trick, and I was actually at a wedding earlier on today. I'd love to show you what I showed the bride because she freaked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, you're saying you are planting a seed. You can hire me for a wedding, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Essentially, right? If you want to hire me for a wedding, you can. And then you can be cheeky. Again, if this card turns in your hand, you probably say, "Fuck it, book this guy for my wedding." And I guess it's done as a joke, but it opens up that door. It does open that door, and again, it goes with your style. It works for me because that works in my style, as I have very tongue-in-cheek. Style of persona, but you can start planting these seeds, and or you can just be direct and say, "Look, here's my card. If you fancy having a magician, give me a call."
Yeah, there's nothing wrong in doing that.
No, absolutely not.
Direct.
Absolutely not. But it's always good to talk things through. So I'm a magician. I'm working here tonight, but I specialise in weddings and that sort of thing. So I mean, weddings, for example, a great during the drinks reception. I was actually at a wedding earlier on today, and I was doing some magic during the drinks reception, and the guys just freaked out. I've done a trick where actually I'll show you the trick. Yeah, and then you can move on to it and make it work that way. So, planting the seeds. But you can I pick up loads of weddings through hen parties especially, stag parties, maybe not so much. I think, so here's a little secret for you, right? Hen parties, the bride wants to have the perfect day, right?
It's normally the bride.
Bride does most of the organising.
They do the organising, there's the men.
Absolutely. So the bride, and this is not just for nightclubs, but in general, the bride will want the perfect day. She's been dreaming about this day since she was a child. So you make all of your comments about a wedding about it being the perfect day, right? The male wants his missus to be happy.
That's true.
That's what the male wants out of this wedding, okay? I guarantee most males, as much as they want to get married, it's all about she wants to get married, right? So you pitch it to him as, wouldn't this be a great present for your bride?
That's a good idea,
yeah, that's how you pitch it to the male. You go, wouldn't
she'll love this.
Yeah, I'll bet your bride would love this. Imagine if I was at your wedding, how she'd feel if I just surprised her with this. So it's all about being surprised. As where the female, how would you imagine if I was there and it would stop all your guests being bored, and it would just add to the perfect day. So there's ways of thinking about it in terms of that. Males are going to be wanting to make their missus happy, so communicating. One groom hired me as a surprise for his missus, and she loved it. So you think about talking it that way. For the bride, most brides get me to make their day extra perfect and really add to the day to them. So just think of. And it's separate to nightclubs, but that's how you sort of think about your way of wording things when you're working at a nightclub. So it's important to have business cards, but essentially start making connections and talk about other gigs you've done. So say, ask questions, right? So if you're at a nightclub, what do you do for a living? So let's do a bit of role play. So what do you do for a living?
I'm a magician.
I know you're a magician. I know you're a magician. If we was at a nightclub, and
I was just an ordinary.
And you was like,
I'm a brickie. Yeah.
They'll say you just ask what they do for a living, right? So if I was to ask you what you do for a living, you said, I work in a bank. Oh, you work in a bank? Oh, excellent. Okay, what do you do in the bank? I'm a manager at the bank. Perfect. Now I know he's probably going to be some kind involved in organising a Christmas party or something like that, right? So just by asking that question, you're starting to pre-qualify. And once you pre-qualify people, you can start to drill in subtle hints about hiring you. What do you do for a living? I work in a bank. Okay, cool. And what do you do at the bank? I'm one of the managers. Oh, excellent. Okay, perfect. So do you have like a Christmas party? Okay, cool. Well, I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to imagine that we're at your Christmas party, okay? And you actually hired me to work there. Now, I want you to imagine who would be the person you'd want to who would you want at this party for me to blow that person's mind most? Yeah? And then he said, my boss. Hey, all right, well, I'll tell you what, imagine me at that party and imagine that this lady's the boss. Okay? Could you pick a card for me? And then you go into the trick. And what you've done is you just have them visualise you at a party, right? So maybe bank manager was not the best idea, but you know what I'm saying. But so by asking what you do for a living, you can start pre-qualifying people. It opens doors, and you can start talking about what they do, because you never know. You might approach someone and say, "What do you do for a living?" "Oh, I run a wedding events company." I've had that many times, and I've got in with many events companies because I asked them. Yeah. Or I work in a hotel. "Oh, what do you do in a hotel?" "I run the events." "Oh, have you ever thought of having a magician?" Opening up the doors and just letting people know that you don't just work in a nightclub. This is something else that you do, but you do work at weddings, corporate events. So open up as many doors as you can and just communicate with people, asking the right questions, dropping the seeds, and just be ballsy. The worst that can happen is they don't hire you for an event, you know, but the best that can happen is they do. So yeah, it's just about building these connections. You know, I've had loads of gigs, so many, just off the back of opening a door, asking that question, what do you do for a living? And you know, because every company has so it doesn't matter what the company is, every company has a Christmas party. Now say this person is just an employee, right? And you say, what do you do for a living? They say, oh, I work, I'm a IT person, I work in IT. Okay, brilliant, okay, cool. Do you have like a Christmas party? Excellent, okay, cool. Then do some magic, and then at the end of your set, here's a card if ever you want me to come and do your Christmas party. I know you might not be the organiser, but tell the organiser, or whatever. You just open the doors, you know, and connect with people, and Facebook's a great way to connect with people as well. Yeah, and then, you know, off the back of that is just really using nightclubs to get those photos, get those videos. You've now got a professional photographer following you around a nightclub, getting amazing shots of you. So you can use these shots to then use it part of your marketing, your promotion. You know, again, some of these nightclubs are classy places, and you know, if you're getting enough photos, you're going to get fantastic shots that could look like a wedding, because you've got people who are dressed up and dolled up, and then you can start using that for your wedding marketing. So yeah, using what you've already got as well, and yeah, make sure over the time you work at a nightclub, get videos and photos and testimonials as much as you can. You know, I got so many testimonials from nightclubs because I just, you know, said, hey, what do you think of that? They said, brilliant. I said, perfect. I'll tell you what, go on my Facebook page and write a testimonial for me. That's going to really help me. I don't do it all the time, but if there's a group that you're getting on really well with, yeah, why not? Yeah. Again, worst thing to say is no, but chances are they will say yes, because they want to do you a favour, because you've been entertaining them for the last 10 minutes and really helping them. So. And then of course you've got all the other areas as well, bars, restaurants, all these areas, other targets that you can use the photos from the nightclubs to start pitching these other places as well. So, and once you've got your foot in the door, you can start going to all these places. Now, as you know, I sort of dominated Southampton when I'd done it. I was the only one who'd done like 5, 6 nightclubs on a regular basis. And then I had all the other ones for all their freshers and parties and whatever else, and it was just because I started connecting with everyone. So if I had one nightclub that I hadn't worked in, I would go and approach them and say, look, this is what I do for this club, I think it worked really well for you guys as well. And they say, well, prove it. All right, well, here's the videos, here's the photos, here's...
You don't have to just be exclusive to one club.
No, absolutely not, and they understand that, and that you're working freelance. As much as I said before that you're employed by them, you're only employed for like 2-3 hours, right? Outside of that, you can do what you like. Now, it's important you don't start treading on their toes in terms of, if you do get an offer somewhere else, let the current club know. Say, look, I've just been offered a place here, but that conflict with your business in any way.
You would say that to them?
I would, yeah. And normally they'd have, out of respect, yeah, but normally they'd have no problem with it at all. Yeah, because you are a freelance person. Sometimes I hadn't said that, actually, I just went and done it. But it depends. If you say you only work at one club and then you get offered a place somewhere else, then I would talk to them. But say I had 4 clubs on the go, those other clubs already know that I'm working at various other clubs. And then someone asks, I'm not going to ask them if they mind me working at a 5th club.
No.
Does that make sense? You know, so just be decent, let people know what's happening. But you know, that all sort of builds up over time. But yeah, you can really start to dominate just by going out to all these different clubs, all these different bars. Once you've got that social proof of working in one club for 6 months, you can take that to every other club wherever you want, and you can prove to them with photos, videos, testimonials that you are going to be an amazing asset to their establishment. I think that's pretty much it. So that is how I got gigs, kept gigs, and we're going to go into what I do at the gigs. So we've got a few tricks that I use, and we're going to speak about that.
Brilliant.
Okay, so this is the part where we're going to talk through some of the tricks that I used to do at nightclubs, and these are all really hard hitters, and what's really good about them is they're really easy to do, and they're self-contained. You can carry multiple of these around with you as you go. So the first one is the card to impossible location, which I love, and this is one of the things that when I'm doing, if anyone sees me again, they'll remember this trick. Which is a bit annoying because it's really easy to do. There's nothing funny about it at all. But it's a very easy trick to do, and it hits really hard. And I still use it at weddings and corporate events, and it still hits really hard. So essentially, it's a card inside a packet of Haribo, and you force. So this is a duplicate, and you just force
the card
on it. There's a few subtleties to it. If I explain how to make it, and then we can go into the sort of performance side of it. So making it is really easy. You probably won't see, I mean, you can look really close and you won't see a slit there.
No, it just looks like a normal packet of Haribo.
Yeah, that's it. So essentially what it is you're just cutting a slit in the top, so there's a little slit there. And you're cutting a little slit in that and you're just putting the card in and you're heat sealing it again. Okay. So if we just go through the process, I always try and do it upside down.
Yeah.
And I've done this a lot over the years, and it's interesting that 90% of people, if you give them the packet of Haribo, for some reason, I don't know why, they reorientate it before they open it. It's like they can't open it upside down. There's something about it being this way round that they have to open it. Not that they'll see the cut anyway. No. But for that reason, I do it at the bottom.
People normally open a packet the right way up, don't they?
It seems that way. Yeah. So I use. The reason I use Haribo as well is because it's got this little window in it.
Yeah.
And I think the window is really cool because you get a double hit.
Yeah.
So when because they don't know the card's in the Haribo, again, we'll talk about the performance in a moment, but you get a double hit of them seeing the card in the packet as if by magic, and then it being their card. As where if it was in a packet like a chocolate buttons packet where it's not see-through, you don't get any reaction until it's opened and then they reach inside and see what the card is. Yeah. So having a window is nice. And but there's no reason why you couldn't use other things.
No. I mean, if you're in a country that don't have Haribo, you can use an alternative, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's lots of different things out there you can use. I say it doesn't have to be Haribo, obviously, but Haribo, I like the fact that it's got a window, and they also taste great. It's really nice. I'll use the bottom, turn it upside down, and if you look at it, you'll see one side is bigger than the other, so this side is longer than this side. I always go on this side because it fits a card perfectly. So all I do is I just push up here and create a little ledge. And I use a standing knife, so this was a pound from the pound shop, or they do scalpels at the pound shop as well, which are fine. And then
you have to be very careful because you don't want to cut them.
Of course, you don't want to cut yourself, you have to be careful, don't run around with it, but you just cut it in here, there it is, and then
You're just cutting enough to fit a quarter of a folded card.
Yeah, just enough, Now that didn't rip particularly well, and that does happen. If I'm making 5 of them, I'll do 3 that don't work. Just because, like, exactly what happened there, it kind of skews down. But it doesn't matter. You can still use this card.
I suppose you could always put it maybe on the surface and cut along.
You can, as long as it's pointing towards you.
I suppose there is risk.
Because I have done it before where you do that and it just goes straight through
the whole lot.
Straight through the whole lot. So that's just how I do it, but you'll do it and you'll find out your own way that works out. I'll just create a little ledge and cut through it. It gets ripped a little bit there, but it doesn't matter, and you'll see why in a moment. So we use the card that we're going to force. I have a one-way force deck. And so it's always the Jack of Clubs. Every time I buy a one-way force deck, I buy just for this trick, and it's always going to be the Jack of Clubs, which makes it easier for me to remember what it is. But sometimes when I was starting out, every time I finished a gig, I put the deck of cards that I used in a box, and then I would collect. So if I was going out for a gig, I'll go through the box and I'll pick out all the 6 of hearts, and then the next gig I'll go through and pick up all the 7 of hearts, and then so each night I'm only using the same card. It just makes it easier to remember. So you just fold the card and you're just putting it in the packet, not rocket science. And I always do it with a bit of a twist as well, so it goes in and then I twist it around like this. Okay. And then it sits nicely there. The reason I do that is so you don't have any card where you're about to do the heat seal. So that's that. And then you have some hair straighteners. And these are about 15 quid from Argos. Before that, I used to use my girlfriend's. So, if you've got a girlfriend, well, we're a magician, so. But yeah, if you've got a girlfriend, you could just heat seal it. And all you do is you turn it on and then just whip it across. Yeah, that's it. It's just nice and quick. Getting the temperature right can be difficult, but it's just trial and error. If it's too hot, it will make this crease up and it will look very obvious. If you don't do it long enough, you'll be here and you'll just be doing this and it won't stick. So you do have to get the temperature right, but that's just trial and error. And like I said, even now, to make up 5, I'll probably ruin 3 packs, either if I'm cutting it wrong or I've let it, it's too hot. If you get, if you're willing to spend out more money for this trick, then you can get, some of them have an adjuster, heat adjuster, and you can find out what works for it, but it doesn't really matter, you just staple down and you're done. So that's that. And so let's say that was the jack of clubs. You're just going to force a jack of clubs and then use it as part of the routine. So the routining I use, so I say you can see all these cards are different.
Yes.
And what I'm doing is I'm just searching for the jack of clubs. Okay, now this is slower than I would do it in performance. Yeah. But right at the bottom there it is. So let's assume that's in the middle somewhere, just for the demonstration. But I run through and I say, so you can see all these cards are different.
So you could put the jack of clubs in the middle, couldn't you? So you know where
so
it actually is.
You could do, but this is just a deck that I use.
Okay.
So I'll be using it for ambitious card and various other things. So assuming it's lost inside of a deck, I'll just run through and say, look, you can see these are genuinely all different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just cut it to the top. So cut it in the middle again. So just run through, say, you can see these are all different. Find a jack of clubs, and I just do a little twist and then back again.
Okay.
So basically, what you're doing is you're finding it, cutting it,
Put it on the top.
but the little twist is almost. And at the time I do the twist, I go, look, you can see these are all different. Is that fair? Yeah.
So it's very natural.
Very natural. And then you
That's
look.
a good way of cutting it to the top.
Yeah, and you just look at them as you do it. So you can see these are all different. Is that fair? Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Sometimes we do.
Yeah, you don't have to do. It depends what mood I'm in as well. Sometimes I'll just find the card and if it's even in here. There we go. Find the card and then just cull it to the top as well. So you can cull it as well, but culling it, it doesn't work for saying I can't find. So if I was to go like this, right? So you can see all these cards are different, yeah, and then you sort of do a cull move. It seems a bit more unnatural than just saying you can see all these cards are different. Is that fair? Yeah.
That seems really fair to do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. You just cut it to the top, and then you force the card on them using your favourite forcing method. I use the classic force. I genuinely believe for this, the classic force is the best thing to do. So if you can do a classic force, awesome. But there is if you're working in a nightclub, classic forces are easy. It's a great place to practice. So if we've got the jack on top, in a club, I'll say, right, so hold your finger out, perfect, and just touch a card. Yeah, take it out, perfect, and then jack of clubs, right? So I literally just put it in their hand. So I cut down, get my pinky break underneath. I say, hold your finger out, and all I do is literally run through and then just put the break straight in their hand. So there's no mess up, just put it in their hand. And I think why people sometimes get worried about this is if you say, choose a card at random, then it doesn't work putting it in their hand. No. If you say you could have any one of these cards, pick one out, it doesn't work.
No.
But if you just say, hold your finger out, perfect, yeah, okay, take it out.
Yeah.
It's just, pick a card is such an old way of saying take out a card, but you're just saying,
do you say touch
take one out. Sometimes touch it, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but sometimes, yeah, okay, hold your finger out, perfect, yeah, just touch a card. Yeah, if you want that one, yeah, take it out, it's fine.
Yeah, so it's fine.
And it's because in their head, it's, it doesn't compute that there's anything weird about it, you're just saying, take out a card. I could just as easily give it to them myself. So if you, and I've done this before. You have the card here. You say, look, so just take a card.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as that, and that's why it makes sense to just put the card in their hand.
Yeah.
You can literally just run through, find the force card. Say, okay, so just a random card from the middle. This is random, yeah.
Because they don't know that you know.
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, that's how I sort of do the classic force. But the other one I use a lot is the time force, which we'll talk about in the next trick. But time force is really good. But yeah, so you force a card, and I have this in my jacket pocket. And I say, so I'm going to make a bet with you guys, and if I get the bet wrong, I will give you this 10p pack of Haribo, okay? No expense spared, so you get a little bit of a joke there. Again, it doesn't take yourself too seriously because you're saying, I'm gonna make a bet, 10p pack of Haribo. You also get a really nice line as well. Sometimes I'll say, so I'll make a bet with you. I've got this 10p pack of Haribo. I was performing at a wedding earlier on today, and I sometimes use these for some of the kids' tricks. I've got a few left, so I'll use this. And again, you're planting a seed for the fact that you do weddings.
And also, you're just covering that as well. You say they don't notice anyway. So.
They don't notice. No, you reach in and I want to say I really don't. I literally just reach in and grab it.
They're not expecting to see it.
I mean, you know, if I just take it, I've got a pack of Haribo here. Again, I'm looking at them, I'm not looking at the packet. So I've got a pack of Haribo here. I bet you this pack of Haribo, if I don't get the trick right, there's no reason for them to even say. And even if they do see it, how often do you stare at a pack of Haribo and sort of... So you don't have to worry about them seeing it at all, because they never will. And then, so I say, so if I get it wrong, I'll give you the Haribo. Depending on the group, I'll say, right, so put that in your pocket for me, and then I'll carry on with the trick. Again, 99.9% of the time, and no one's going to feel or suspect anything, because there's no reason. No one's going to think, oh, in a minute he's going to put that card in that Haribo packet.
No, it's about drawing attention to things, isn't it?
Yeah.
With things. If you make an obvious... If you say, check that out, they're going to find it. If you just put that in your pocket, you're not going to think anything of it. So you're not drawing attention to it. It's just like great sweets. You're going to win.
Absolutely. And again, if it's done as a joke as well, you say, right, so I've got this 10p pack of Haribo, stick that in your pocket so I don't eat them while we're doing this, and then you carry straight on. There's no reason. So, but again, it does depend. Sometimes I won't do that, and I can normally, if people are being a bit suspect with different, because this isn't the first trick I do, ever. I never do it first trick, because it's too strong to be a first trick. So you can use a couple of tricks before this and I can get a feel of what they're like. But 60% of the time I'll just say put it in your pocket, and no one's ever spotted it before that I can remember. So yeah, and then that's it. So they take a card, and then, so it's the four, we'll say 10 of diamonds, but they I take it back, put it inside the middle, with the riffle, so there's no break. So I'm going to find your card with one hand. If I don't find it, you win the Haribo. If I do find it, I get to keep them, okay? And I'll just do whatever little move I want. There it is. Oh shit. Alright, well, I'm a man of my word. I did say you get to keep the Haribo. So, oh wait, hang on, what was your card? The Jack of Clubs. Take a look inside the packet, and then they reach into a pocket, they take it out, or I reach into my pocket, take it out, and you get that hit, because first of all everyone goes, what? No way is it inside there? And then they open it, and then you get the second hit of it actually being the card. I
mean, we're saying you can you don't have to do a fancy flick.
No.
Call it in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the ways I used to do is, so their card's lost inside of a deck, and I would say, so I'll tell you what, if you don't find your own card, you get to keep the Haribo, right? So reach in, grab a card. Excellent. That's your card, yes?
Yes, just...
oh, no, it's not. Oh, all right, well, you get to keep the Haribo. Yep, so you can do that.
Palm it, get rid of it, and then they can look through the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the group. Nightclubs, I tend not to. If you just carry on, because I'm very fast-paced at nightclubs, so I'll do a trick. They'll do the reveal. They'll freak out. I'll give them 3 or 4 seconds. I'll say, actually, look, I'll tell you what. Let's try something else, and then move on. Yeah, so they don't have a chance to
actually process it.
To actually process it again. But sometimes, if you do it a lot, like I did, you'll find like 5 or 6 times over a weekend that you'll do this. And you'll actually find the card that they actually picked. You know, again, if it's a 1 in 52 chance, so if you're doing this 200 times in a weekend, you're going to find this card quite a lot. But yeah, you'll be surprised, you know, and that's a great hit as well. So you can, yeah, that's it. Yeah, you can actually do it, and then you know, you do your little flick, and then, you know, what was your card? 4 of clubs. Oh, that was your card, and you get a nice little hit from that. But you know, it's nice when that happens. And again, the same if they pick their own card, they take it out and it's their card. You know, you've got an extra little hit there, and you can still bring it around to doing something with this. Just thinking of corporate and weddings, if you do this, you don't have to do it in the way that we've done it here. You can have a big time delay in between, so you can actually you have the Jack of Clubs and then do an ambitious card of it, and then this is kind of like a finisher at the end, so you can move it that way. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That is the card in Haribo, card in impossible location. Don't underestimate it, because it really is a strong, powerful effect that gets amazing reactions, and I absolutely love performing it. Okay, so this is one of my favourites. Again, it's not an opener, and I think I used it as an opener during one of the performances, but it is really strong, it's visual, it's powerful, and that is the friction pen.
Yep.
So a friction pen is a pen that if you write something down on a card, a little squiggle, you can use a lighter and it just vanishes. So I think they originally you write something down and you can use a rubber, so you can rub out a pen. It's, heat makes it vanish essentially.
It's got a little end to it.
Yes.
Rubber thing. So It's the friction and the heat that...
Friction and the heat that stops it. So this is cool. So you have a friction pen. I got like 10 from Amazon for like a £5, something like that.
Pick them up from supermarkets.
Yeah, you can get them in most places.
Or Walmart.
Yeah, they're readily available, but they're called a friction pen, and that's Frixion. Pilot, 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 and friction pen. So when you can make ink vanish, you've got a really nice effect. So you have another pen that matches the same type of ink. Again, it's literally just a blue pen. There was no thought process behind buying this. It's just a blue pen.
Blue ink pen.
It's a blue ink pen. And essentially what I do is I have a card selected, I force a card, and then I have a series of cards on this card, and all the other cards vanish except for the card they've chosen. So the force card you're going to write down with the real ink.
Yes.
I say real ink, but the ink that's not going to vanish.
Yeah.
So let's say it's a 7 of hearts. I just write 7 of hearts. So the little 7 of hearts there, like that. And then everywhere else I'm just going to write random cards.
With your friction pen.
With the friction pen, yeah. So you might have, and I'll do I find it nice. So here I put 7 of hearts, but I might write 10 of diamonds, as in T-E-N.
Yeah, so mix it all up.
So I mix it all up. So let's do that. So we have T-E-N, diamonds, and I won't do them all because you get the idea. But then you have so 5.
You said you carry them around in your wallet anyway.
Yes, I do. So I before a gig, because I like doing things in bulk, so I'll just spend like half an hour and I'll make up like 30 of them.
Yeah.
I'm also, it's just a very silly tip, but it's actually quite difficult when you're doing this to think of random cards. As easy as it may sound, but if you're going through,
Okay, yeah.
9 of hearts, let's go with that. 9 of hearts, and then you're thinking to get 7 of spades, you know, and you're going through this. So what I do is I write 1, and I just copy. So I'm going right 10 of diamonds,
So you just
5 of clubs, 6 of spades, and it just stops that mind blank. So yeah, it's just a silly tip, but it just helps me go a little bit faster with it. So 9 of hearts, and then we have a card here, a card here, a card here. I don't have to do it too much because we've got a live footage, and you can actually see the card in that as well. But just imagine loads of cards here.
So you're just burying that card, the force card.
Exactly that, exactly that. And you know, if you didn't know that 7 of hearts was a force card, it would look exactly the same. And essentially all you do during the trick is you just wave your lighter, and there they go, start to vanish. And there you go, and all you have left is a 7 of hearts. So how I perform this, and I won't go too much into detail because I do go over it in the performance footage, but I have the card with all of the... So
that's on your business card, so...
Oh yeah, it's on a business card as well, which is nice. So they get a business card. I always think every person you perform to should get a business card. You don't have to make a point of it, like, you know, contact me if you want me to make your ex-partner disappear. You know, you don't have to say that. It's just... It's on the card.
It's a souvenir, isn't it?
It's a souvenir, and I've had gigs, and people have come up and said, "I saw you at this place at this time before," and they pull the wallet out and they actually bring it out because it's a story to tell. I've had other people say they keep it on their fridge magnets.
They go home and say, "This magician performed this on me, and look, this is what he did." So you want to go home and tell the story.
Absolutely, and there is a story behind it, and it just happens that it's got your details on the back. So yeah, I'll make a load up, and I'll put normally 5 or 6 in here before performance, and I'll have some more in the case. And yeah, I just force to say it was a 7 of hearts. I force the 7 of hearts. Wherever it is, doesn't matter. 10 of hearts in this, whatever. And then I force, so again we've done the classic force, there's also the time force that I do as well. So if you hold your hands out for me like you're about to catch a baby, and just say stop whenever you want. Stop. Yeah, oh very good. And then you take a look, and that'll be the 10 of whatever it was, 10 of hearts. So time force is great, and it is, the way this works, there's so much material on how to make this work. Here's how you make it work really easy. Hold your hand out. You don't say stop whenever you want, you say stop. Right? Okay. So I go down, and I say, you go down, and I just say stop.
Stop.
There you go, cool.
Okay, so you're telling them to say stop.
I say stop and they say stop.
Yeah, you're saying.
Yeah, which makes the time force work really well. So yeah, you have the card, say 3 of clubs, you're just cutting it so you get a break about halfway. So hold your hand out, and I'll just deal down here, and just say stop. Stop. Here. And you get the 3 clubs. Because it's here as well, you also get an extra, if you're a little bit slow on it, you have got this where it goes here, and then you say, perfect, take a look at this card.
So you either take that one, or if it's a little bit slow, take the one on top.
Absolutely, and it's just a linguistics thing, and if you say stop whenever you want, you're giving them an option, and then they take ages or they take a bit longer. But if you just, like I said, just go through and I always do a couple of 2 or 3, just, okay, say stop, cool.
Yeah.
And there you go, it comes up, and then you have the card, and then it's in the pocket, bring it out. Oh, was this one is your card on here? They say, yes, hey, thank you very much. Oh, but you're not that impressed by that. Okay, tell you what, give it a lighter, light it off, and then it turns into their card. So great, it hits really well. It's a lovely trick.
Very good.
All right, so we're going to talk about the eating a card corner and restoring it back on. This is basically a really cheating way of doing the regeneration.
Who did regeneration?
That was, God, now you're asking. American guy.
It wasn't Morello. No. Anyways.
I started that kid actually, I can't remember who it was. Who was it? It's a
don't say anything about it.
squeaky voice guy. Oh well, squeaky voice guy, yeah.
Simpson? No, Bart Simpson.
Right. Okay, so we're going to talk about a really cool trick, and this is it's short, it's sweet, it's visual, and it's a lovely trick. And it is essentially you can eat a card corner and then restore it back onto the card. It is done originally by Blake in America, and he's got a gimmick for it, which is really nice. And if you do want to spend the extra money and have the gimmick done for it, then you can have it signed and such. You can get it from a magic shop. If you don't want to do that, and you're doing like me at a nightclub, where you're doing this multiple times throughout a night, this is a little way of cheating that we've developed. So the trick is on the performance of it is on the footage later on, so we won't go through that. We'll just go through the mechanics of it essentially. So you have I'm going to turn the bottom 3 cards over, and then I have 2 duplicate cards. So in this case, 2 9 of clubs. One of them I'm going to put a bend in like this, and I just fold the bend down, and then this goes just here. So you have your normal deck and then 3 cards.
I did mention before that if you wanted to make it look more torn.
Yes, this is something you taught me. Yes, which is really nice.
You can use your thumbnail, and fray the edges.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, really nice, and I think that would really help, and that's something I hadn't thought about before.
So just scrape it. You can use something sharp if you wanted. So if you
Stanley knife, yeah.
If you had a little knife.
Yeah, see that looks great. Yeah.
And then it looks torn.
Yeah, see that's lovely.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's a really nice touch.
When it's restored, it looks even better because it looks like it's actually
infused back on. Yeah, that's lovely. I really like that. So yeah, you have the deck, you have 3 cards upside down, you put your bent one face up on it like this, you turn the deck over, and then you have your force card on the top. So all you're going to do is you do the riffle force, so say stop, and then when they say stop, I always look at them and say, are you sure you want to stop here? Now as soon as they say that, I open the deck up like this, and I say, are you sure you want to stop here? Now notice that the position here is square onto you. So if I pull that card out, even if you was looking, you can see the force, right? Rather than if you did it here, and then you say maybe magicians do this sort of thing.
Yeah, they can see.
Which you can see it happen. So again, it's just keeping it away from them. And it's asking a question at that time and bringing your eye contact up. So yes, so I say, so say stop. Right, are you sure?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so take out the card. Doesn't even matter if I see it.
No.
So you can take a look, and that's it. So you force the 9 of clubs on them.
Okay.
I then take the card, fold the corner, give it a little score with my mouth, rip it off. I say you can go ahead, rip the corner off. Perfect. And so there's 2 points I do this. One is when I get the drink to drink it. The other one is when I say put it in my mouth. So all you're gonna do is turn the deck over.
Yes.
Okay, so I have it here and I say, okay, just put it on my mouth, on my tongue. So they do that, and I literally just turn the deck over as I do that. So as I'm sort of gesturing towards them, so I say, so go ahead, put it on my tongue.
Yep.
Which they do, and then I normally eat it. I have no problems eating it. And then as it's here, with this hand, excuse the way I'm talking, but with this hand, I'm just
covering that.
Flipping the deck around. Obviously, I'll use both hands at that point. So it goes here, that goes in here. I'll just flip the deck around. So that's here. And I eat it, and I always actually eat it. I actually swallow it every time. I'm not going to do that now, but you actually swallow it. And that's it really. And then you're in this position, so you've got a really nice image retention there, and then you can literally just take the card off and restore it back on. Nice. And there it is. So quick, easy, visual. Again, for nightclubs, it's perfect. You don't have to really understand what's happening. It's engaging because you're ripping it off, you're putting it in your mouth, and that's something that's interesting that's happening and keeps them engaged. That is the eating a card corner.
Very good.
So this is one of my favourite closing effects, and it's still something I use at weddings and corporate events now, and I absolutely love it, is the card under watch. And it's something that when I first started to do card under watch, I was very nervous about doing, because you always think they're going to feel it. The angles are a bit tricky on it in terms of palming it off and then getting it under, but the key to this is to really not worry, just be ballsy and do it, because they will not feel it if you do it right. Now, there's not really a right or wrong way, but essentially you are going to Mercury card fold a card, and then you're going to stick it under their watch.
Okay.
There's no there's nothing that's hard about it. So look, we've got a card folded here, so let's just assume that one's folded. I'll break it down a little bit more in a moment, but I just say, hold your hands out for me. Perfect. I exchange the deck, and I say, you right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. This comes down here. I then have this in this card, and I say, perfect. So come this way for me, and hold this hand out, and then hold both hands like a table. And then you've got the card under the watch, which is there. Lovely, perfect. So it's really not that difficult at all. So let's go through a performance phase. So if you just take out a card.
So this can be any card?
Any card at all.
Signed card?
Yeah, it's better signed, definitely. For this, I've tried it with both, and it's definitely better signed. I used to have duplicates. I think it's better signed, but it doesn't have to be. Again, if you're in a nightclub, sometimes you haven't got a chance to sign cards. But you just stick it in and double undercut it to the top, whatever you like, and then do a double lift. So you say 6 of diamonds. Actually, if you hold your hand out for me, perfect. So I'm going to drop the 6 here and put your other hand on top. And if I shake, you can take a look. And as they're taking a look, I'm just going boom, boom, getting the Mercury card fold under the card. When it's here, I then transition, and when I transition, I'm squeezing that card together.
Their card.
So that's not their card. No. So
that's a misdirection you're using.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, to get a Mercury card fold. Yeah. So I think I was thinking too much ahead of myself there. So, but what I did is I put their card in the hand, and then it changed into something different. So it vanished essentially.
That's a nice way of getting a Mercury fold, and use that because, as you say, there's a lot of heat on you when you're trying to do a Mercury fold and not get busted.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, there is a lot of heat on it, but again, if it's all about, if there's no heat on you, there's no heat on you. So if something else is happening, there's no reason why there's no heat at all, and it is just boom boom, and it shouldn't look like you're doing anything other than just squaring up the deck. But as long as look at that card, it's changed, boom boom.
So how do you do your Mercury fold? You just
so it's just so there is nice little techniques here. So you're beveling the deck, and then it's hard to do in slow motion, but I'm taking my ring finger, pushing it down. And so I'm sort of connecting here, and then my thumb just hits the back and then just squares it up like this. So it's just
it's very quick,
like that, and that's all it is. So, and again, you can see it's a bit.
It doesn't have to be perfect, but
when you've got it under the deck like this, that's why you transition and then you squeeze with the other hand, and you've got justification for squeezing it with the other hand, and that's what sort of creates those creases inside. So let's just run through it again. So let's assume your card was the Jack of Diamonds. So roughly inside the middle. I say so. This wasn't your card, right? That wasn't it. Okay, perfect. So hold your hand out for me. If I put this here and shake, you actually see it changes into your card. Now, rather than making it jump up through the deck, if I use a Jack and shake, you see it changes into the 9. This was it, yeah? So actually, if I put this here and then shake, you see it actually changes into, what have you got this? Oh, the Jack. Excellent, very good. The Jack of Diamonds. And if you hold your hands out for me, perfect. And sorry, you right or left-handed?
Right.
Right-handed. So hold your hands out like a table, and I'm just going to, from here, I normally just do this, and I just say stop whenever you want.
Stop.
Very good. So I'll put this card under the watch. Now, you could have used any of these. You could have used any of these. Would you be impressed if the card under the watch was your card? Oh, no. Oh no, sorry, no, not this side, the other side. And then they reach through, and then it's under there. And it's not. There's no routine to this as such. This is just what I do when I feel like doing it, essentially. But I do try and do it in every group. So sometimes the card will go in the wallet, and then it will come out, and then it will be. I'll do some colour changes, and then it will just whenever I feel is the right moment to do it. I know that probably doesn't help you a lot, but it is just whenever it feels right to do it as a sort of closer.
Basically, you just got to go for it, haven't you? Try not.
Yeah, you got to go for it, and I think the bit that leads up to it, which works really well, and I use this all the time. So let's say their card was a 6. So I've done, say you're doing ambitious card, right? It keeps jumping to the top. So I say, look, we've got the 6 here. If I shake, it actually jumps down inside of the deck. So we've just got the 7 here. Now I know this wasn't your card, so I'm doing a double lift. Hold your hand out for me. So the 4 goes here. If I shake, it actually changes into your card. Okay. Yeah. And then sorry, I'm out of camera again. What I'm doing behind my back is just flipping the card. Get a pinky underneath, take the 6 like this, and I say, look, I'll show you how it works in slow motion. So hold your hand out, drop the 6 here, put your other hand on top. I flip the deck in my hand at this point, ready to do the Mercury card fold, and I say, watch. Check it out, now it's changed again. As soon as they're watching, I'm doing the Mercury card fold. Get in the squeeze, and I say, right, hold your hands out for me. Perfect. So let's try this a second time. So bring both hands together, and then it's down under there, and then it just you got the reveal there. So that doesn't normally happen, but yeah, and that's it. So in the video, I speak about how you can use people's position to block everyone else's view. Yeah. So I would normally I test the watches before I'm doing it with the time force. Okay, so say for example, there's a group of people. I say, well, hold your hands out for me. Perfect. Bring them this way. And what I do is I get a feel.
Feeling, but you can normally see when somebody's got quite a loose watch on.
Yes, you can see if they've got a loose watch, perfect. If you're unsure, I then do a time force at some point before this, so maybe during the Haribo trick or maybe during something else, and I just say, right, so hold your hands out like this.
You're feeling if it's loose or
just not. Get a little, you only need to tug it, and you know straight away whether you can do it or not. It's just a bit of movement, you're good, okay? The other tip as well is when you are bringing a hand through, is just to try and rotate it slightly.
Okay.
So if you see I've rotated it there, right? So if your hands were up like this, and I was to, again, if your hands were down by your side, sorry, and then I was to bring your hands up, and in that motion, just twist a bit.
Why do you do that?
Because if I can feel the slightest twist, I know it's loose enough to get the watch under. Right. If I can feel the slightest bit of twist, I know I can get a card under. It's loose enough to get a card under. But yeah, as long as there's some movement there. But it doesn't have to be a lot though, to be fair.
A lot of people wear their watches quite loose anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You don't wear a tight watch, do you?
No, that's it. I mean, 90% of people, it's not going to be too tight, but there is a way of getting out of that, which I'll speak about in a moment. But yeah, there's no harm in just having a little nudge at some point beforehand to have a feel. So if you, we're talking about the body blocking.
Yes.
Right. So what I would try and do, and I'm very good at approaching people knowing where the watches are. So I'm always looking out for watches because I do watch stealing as well.
Okay.
So I always have the person with the watch on this side if I can. Okay, and I'll be on this side, and I'll do the change, and I'll say, hold your hands out. Actually, could you swing around this way so these guys can see? So if you imagine their hands are here, I'm actually holding their hand as I bring them around this way. And when their body is in front of me, blocking everyone else's view, that's when I slip the card under and move them across. Does that make sense? Yeah? So they're over here. I say, hold your hands out for me. Actually, are you okay to swing around this way? Yeah, just swing around here for me. Perfect. So
you've loaded it.
I load it in the motion of spinning them around. Okay. Now, because they're on this side, the arm that's furthest away has to move further, right? So it has to, the arm on this side has to move around, right? So because it's on the outside, it's the perfect justification and the perfect motion to get your hand, to get the card under the watch as you're doing that. So that's really nice, it's getting that body block.
Yes.
As you get across, so coming across and use that body block, and that's the moment you push it forward. But again, I do this when people are sat down and, no one, they really don't notice. No. A good tip for this as well, so say, is to hold their other hand as well. So if you hold your hands out like this, now if you didn't know I was doing this, right, and I start tugging on this hand, your attention is going to go over here, right?
A bit more.
So again, the bigger action covers the smaller action. So you hold this, you tug with this hand, you just slide the watch.
More forceful with that.
A bit more forceful with this one, and yeah, it just takes the attention fully away. So you hold your hands out, and you know, so you do hold it over here, and then like this, like a table, and then it's a perfect motion. The other thing is you can do it under the motion of this as well. So you get the card under here, and then bring the motion across. So again, you do the Mercury card fold. If you hold your hands out like this, to actually get the palm action, so no one can see it. So you're in this position. You're curling it off under your fingers, and as long as if you say something and look at them as you do it, just so it brings their attention up just for that moment. So I might say something like, so I do the Mercury card fold. So your hands wouldn't be up at this point. So I do the Mercury card fold, and I say, perfect, so hold your hands out, peel this off, and actually, are you right-handed or left-handed? And then, boom, lock it under there, right? So, yeah, it's not as hard as it should be. It's just putting the watch under, but go out and do it a couple of times.
Could you practice on somebody before you, if you were worried about it?
So,
advice to practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, if you can, but if you practice it, you only need to do it once to realise it's not that hard to get under a watch. What's better is to have a couple of ways that if it goes wrong, you can get out of it. Okay. Now, even this weekend, I've done a gig, and I was doing a card under watch, and it was just too tight. I didn't check it properly beforehand. And the reason I don't mind is because I've got a way out of it that looks really good as well. So you've got a signed card, and you do your, I'm running out of cards here, so you do your Mercury card fold underneath. They hold their hands out, and you go for the watch, and it doesn't stick, right? It doesn't get under them. Well, they shouldn't feel it not stick, okay? But you know it doesn't get underneath, but they shouldn't feel it. So all I'm doing at this point is I just bring their hands together. I say, perfect, so look, hold on here. This hand comes down by my side, and I have the JOL wallet, and I just take the wallet out and load it straight into the wallet, open up the wallet. So in their eyes, what I'm changing it into is hold on to the deck. Yeah. If that makes sense. So I said, hold your hands out for me. Perfect. Hold on to this, straight into the wallet. Okay. So in their eyes, nothing's gone wrong because all you've done is said hold on to the deck. Yeah. Okay. So that's a really nice out is to put it into the JOL wallet. If you don't have a JOL wallet or a card to wallet, just reach into your pocket and take it out. So hold on to the deck for me. It's actually jumped inside my pocket, and you take out a card, and then you just move on to something else. Okay. So yeah, that's it. That's the card on the watch. I love doing it. I think it's a brilliant finisher. And again, you'll see the performances, so I won't talk too much about the actual performance of it, but the mechanics of it, it is just a case of putting the card under the watch, and it is something I was worried about for a long time, but not anymore.
And thanks for the watch.
Standing up for this one, and this is one of my favourite things to do in a nightclub, is a bottle production. So in this case, it's a bottle from Shoe, mixed in with a card trick. So again, we've got the performance footage, so we'll just go through the mechanics of how it works. In this case, we're going to use the 9 of hearts. And if I'm performing during the gig, what I'll do is I'll actually put it just under my sock. Okay. And it'll just kind of be sat tucked. So you see that just tucked in there, and that's safe, ready to go whenever I want. Now I could be halfway through a routine, and I've got no problem in just reaching down, and I just tuck it into the side of my shoe. Yeah.
Just looks like you're adjusting your sock.
Yeah, that's it. So it just goes down into the side of the shoe. And I also have a bottle in here. Normally I use beers, but we just happen to get some Cokes. The beers are good, and this just goes face downwards in the pocket. And the deck of cards. So this is 9 of hearts, which is forced in the shoe. And this is a popper deck. Okay. But I've done it with a classic force. But the reason I like this is I just say, so you can see these are all different. Yeah. Just touch a card. Over this one, yeah, cool. Okay. Oh, sorry. Just take a look. Yeah. So you take a look, and you force the 9 of hearts. You can drop it back, and then you can show. You could have had any of these. Yeah. Is that fair? Yeah. And if I shake, you can see the card's gone. It's disappeared. Yeah. It's vanished from the deck. And of course, it can't just disappear. It has to reappear somewhere, but I wouldn't put it on there. This would be in my pocket, normally in my jacket pocket. I say it can't just disappear, it has to reappear somewhere. Yeah. Right? So again, back in my jacket pocket, take watch, down in the shoe. I'll just slide it off, and because I put it in the side, as long as I'm sliding my foot backwards, that card is going to drop underneath the foot. It's not going to come out. Just hold it like this, and I say hold your hand out for me. Perfect, and they get this really nice, I was going to say a retention of thing, but it's not in there. It's actually got stuck in there. That wouldn't normally happen, but yeah. So the card's in the shoe. So hold your hand up. I promise it's clean.
Yes.
And you just dump it onto their hand, and I say, go ahead, take a look. And as soon as I take a look, this shoe goes back here. I lift the bottle out and slide it underneath. I say, hey, that was pretty cool. Actually, the impressive thing is not how the card got in the shoe; it's how the card got in the shoe with that in there, and that's for you. So yeah, that's a nice little moment. And that's it, really. You just put in the bottle in the shoe.
Yeah. So all the misdirection for that.
All the misdirection as well. So look in here. So if I just do it square on, so it's in my shoe. Perfect. Hold your hand out for me. Perfect. Drop here. Excellent. Actually, this is how the bottle got in the shoe. And again, if you are even more worried, if you're in a nightclub and there's loads and you're in a circle of people, no one's going to see anything you're doing back here. You're completely covered from all angles.
It's like we say, it's quite dark in a nightclub anyway. So
that's it. I mean, if you swap places. So again, imagine there's a group of people around here. The bottle was in here, right? And everyone's sort of focused here, right? So look inside the shoe. If you hold your hand out for me, perfect. Everyone's looking over here, and then everyone all around here. No one can see it. No, the load, and then that's boom. There we go. Yeah. So bottle production's nice. If I was at the nightclub, they would just, I'll do this in the VIP table, and the club would just pay for the beers to be given out. I mean, if you want to be really, and I've done this before as well, where I have a bottle in both pockets.
Yes.
And you come out, you take your card, you show here, your load. This comes out, I say that's for you. Alright, so you hold on to that, and everyone gets a bit of a reaction. I load the second one in as well. And then,
so they're going, wow, that's coming out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
the second one.
Just load the second one in
Very
as well.
nice, yeah.
You can do it with shots. You get little bottles of shots at nightclubs sell quite a lot.
Obviously, you want to wear clean socks when you.
You want to wear clean socks, and nightclubs can be hot, sweaty places. Yeah. That's why I have it in the sock. It's not. I don't wear this. I don't have a card in my shoe all night. It's literally put in 30 seconds before I do the trick.
Sweaty and.
Absolutely, and for like a lot of groups, it will be the first trick I'll do if I do this. It's a really nice little opener. If it's not the first trick I do, I will literally just reach down, put the thing in my, on the offbeat of something else amazing happens. So I do the card under watch. Everyone's freaking out. I just reach down, drop it in the shoe, and that's it. So that is the bottle production and card and shoe. Sweet. So the last thing is the bottle, the flash production of a bottle, which again is great in a nightclub. It's visual, using fire, which is really nice, and again in VIP areas you actually get to give away a bottle of beer or whatever else it is. So the setup for this, you just have the bottle in the back pocket. When I wear my jacket, I have this is the flash notes from Prop Dog, but I just have flash paper and I have a safety pin on the inside of my jacket, and I stitch these safety pin into the inside. And by doing that, I literally just open my jacket and rip one off, and it's really nice. So let's assume I've done that. Rip one off. I've got my bit of paper here. I screw it up. The lighter won't be in play yet. Screw it up. So I've got this here. Oh, actually, if you hold on to the light. Sorry, this is a bit. Can you light it up for me? So yeah, light it up. And then you just flash produce it. There's nothing fancy about it, but yeah, it does look really cool. So we'll go for that again. And what you do essentially, the move is you're coming down, down, touch.
So what are you brushing to look like you're?
It's to justify having your hand down here.
Right. Okay.
So you're going down, down, and then you've got this nice motion as you come back for the bottle. This comes here and this goes here. So that was taken out of context a little bit. So let's do it like it as if it was a performance. So actually, can you light it for me? Perfect. And sorry, this is a bit. And that you flash produce it.
Flash blinds you for a while.
If you're in a nightclub, they ain't going to see nothing. It's going to literally.
Well, I can bring that out because it's the what?
Yeah. Yeah, it lights, and you don't have to do it with bottles either. You can do it with, I've done it with the Haribo before. So the card will be in the Haribo, but instead of doing I bet 10p, I just don't talk about the Haribo. I say touch a card, get it lost, and then actually hold this, and I just flash produce the Haribo, and I say not only is this pack of Haribo inside is your card, so you can literally flash produce anything, and it's just from this really nice motion of give it down so you can fold out if you light that up for me, and then it's just boom, boom. Well, I would say as well, normally I use a Zippo lighter because that can happen.
Yes. If you can't get a Zippo lighter, then just make sure it's low. It lights nicely.
You can get a Zippo lighter from Amazon for about £1.50 with free delivery as well, and you can have it engraved. So the one that I use, and I just didn't bring it tonight for whatever reason, but it's got Jack of Hearts on it, so it's engraved as well. That's about £1.50. Okay. So they're very cheap, and a Zippo, of course, is not going to go out as easily as this. So if you light that up for me, you just fold it. Sorry. And then you get your bottle. It's always nice to do a little thing as well, a little Shazam. But yeah, that was it. That's the bottle production, and that is the end of the tricks that we are doing for this. We're very grateful for you checking out this project, and thank you, Jimmy, for helping out in this as well.
It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it, and I really hope you guys get something really nice out of this, and you're able to go to nightclubs and really rock it and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I thought it'd be really cool to show you some live performance footage that we took a couple of nights ago at one of my old residencies, and I was a resident there for about 4 years, and they were kind enough to let me come back and do this project. So we've got some live footage, and what I thought would be a good idea is we've got the webcam down here in the corner, and I'm going to play the video on the screen, and I'm going to stop and start it as we go, and just talk through a little bit about what it is that I'm actually doing. So it starts off, the video takes a little bit of time, about 10-15 seconds for the focus to become focused. And it's also worth pointing out that I'm wearing a lapel mic as well, and the lapel mic is obviously turned up as loud as it will go because this is in a nightclub, it is a real world situation, and it is very loud. Now we did of course play around with the idea of just doing it in a pub where it was a little bit quieter, but I really wanted to do it in a nightclub so you can really get a feel for exactly how I go through these performances. It's also worth noting that the stuff that I do here are the stuff that is included. Now I do use some other material when I'm performing in a nightclub, so it's not just the tricks that I've included in this project. Of course I use other tricks that other people have released, and for that reason I can't give away the secrets to what they are. They're not my effects to give away, but despite that there are some really cool things you can do. So you can do Lolly Productions by Kieran Johnson. The Omni deck is something that I use a lot as well. Double Cross is a fantastic trick to use, and flashcards. They're really cool to do as well. Jay Sankey in a flash is a fantastic effect that you can do. Let me think, what else did I do? Well, they're the main ones, to be honest. I also use Toxic a lot if I'm in the queue or in the beer garden. So that's a couple of things that I would also have used in a routine like this. But I have picked out some of the best tricks that are my take on tricks, and hopefully you're going to enjoy checking these out as well. So let's not hang around. We're going to jump straight in, and I'll pause it and talk you through things as we go. Okay, so as I said, it takes about 10-15 seconds for the focus and the audio to pick up exactly what's happening.
Right, part of the entertainment. I'm the magician for the night. You guys want to see a bit of what I do? Fuck it, why not? Yes, enthusiasm, I like it.
So there we go, straight in. Hi, my name's Stephen, I'm the magician. Do you want to see a little bit of what I do? It's loud, you don't want to piss about, just straight in. I'm a magician, here's what I do, would you like to see some? If they say yes, you crack straight on. And there's a really cool NLP technique that I use for this, mirroring. So I will try and approach a group on the same energy level that they are at. So what I mean by that, if you're at a nightclub and there's a group that are really lively and they're really bouncing around, I go over and it's very, hey, how you doing guys? Nice to see you, high five, I'm the magician, come on, let's do some magic. If they're just kind of sat there, chilled out, enjoying themselves, it's, hey guys, how you doing? My name's Stephen, I'm the magician. Is it okay if I show you something? So essentially what I'm doing is I'm mirroring their energy level. What I used to do to make this work is I used to imagine the energy levels would go on a scale from 1 to 5. So 5 being the most energetic anyone could possibly be, and a 1 would be kind of falling asleep, at the bar. Okay, so what I would do is I would instantly, on my approach to that group, give them a ranking between 1 and 5, depending on the energy level that I think they're at ish, and I would go in at that energy level. So I over time just came up with the right intro for a level 1, the right intro for a level 2, the right intro for a level 3, 4 and 5, and by doing this you're on their wavelength. So if they are really lively and really outgoing and really going for it, and you go in at a level 1, hey guys, do you want to see a magic trick? You know, it's not quite going to work well. And the same if they're on a level 1, they're just chilled out or having a drink. Hey guys, want to see some magic? You know, it's not going to work, right? So you have to go in at the same energy level that they're at, and this is a very important skill and technique that can be used. So that's what I try and do when I'm approaching groups. And again, so this is a group of guys. The first trick I'm about to do, I'll be honest, is not normally my opener. But the opener that I would do is not something that I can include in this because it's not mine, so I just jump straight into number 2. The reactions from it aren't amazing, I'll be honest, but you'll see by the end that they really are enjoying it and they really are freaking out and you know, really enjoying the entertainment. So that's good news. So yeah, that's the intro. Okay, again, very easy, very simple, very quick, direct, and then I jump straight into it. Okay.
Alright, go. I need you. What's your name, Dave? Come forward, man. Come forward, come forward. Alright, check it out. These are all different, yeah? If they weren't, I wouldn't show you in the first place. It's genuinely all different. Do you have a favourite card? Sorry? Do you have a favourite playing card? Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades. Touch a card. Touch one. Okay, take a look. Ace of Spades. Ah, that's right, that's about it.
So again, I start off, as I said earlier on in the speech, you can't take yourself too seriously. Okay, if you take yourself too seriously, it's just not very fun in a nightclub environment. Okay, you have to have a laugh and you have to have a joke, and this is a really nice opener to start to just establish yourself as someone who doesn't take yourself too seriously. And what I actually did in this is I classic forced the 7 of Hearts. But by asking him what his favourite card is, and then saying, right, this will be the Ace of Spades, and then it's not, you get like a bit of a climax and then an anti-climax again, okay, which is really nice in an environment like this. And again, you just showed that you're not taking yourself too seriously. But the 7 of Hearts there was classic force, and this is to set up for the friction pen effect.
It'd be good if it was though, right? But you pick any of these. You had the 7 of Hearts. Right. I made a prediction before I started of what card you would pick. I got it with me. I kept it in here. Well, I did lie a bit. There's a couple of predictions, but the 7 of Hearts is on now. Thank you very much.
So again, it's going down this, building up to a climax and then an anti-climax again. I'm saying, hey, I knew you'd pick the 7, I've got a prediction, and then I pull out the card and it's got loads of different cards on there. Okay, and again, it's like, well, you know, it's a bit of fun and games. I'm not taking myself too seriously. And I say, oh, the 7 of Hearts is on there. But again, it's an anti-climax, but this is going to build up to a real climax after. Not that these guys seem to particularly climax at it, but you know what I mean.
But you could have picked anyone. You picked this one. What's interesting, if I hit my lighter, I'm hoping. There's the 7 of Hearts, yeah? Hey, that one scares me as well, man. Souvenir for yourself, dude. You can keep on with that. I'll tell you what, look.
So it gets them engaged, it's visual, and it's fun, and I love those little anti-climaxes, and you'll see all the way through my performances at nightclubs, I always include these sort of building up to a climax, and then it just deflates again, so in the hope that they react much stronger after. This, again, they didn't react particularly well, but they are engaged, and they are enjoying it, and by the end, they really get stuck into it. Okay, so let's carry on to the next one.
Go a step further, it's 50 down, and go borrow yourself this. Alright, go, say it again. They genuinely are all different, fair?
And there we are. What's really interesting is you can see the 2 guys over here, and one of the guys actually says to the other one, how did he do that? So it is building, they are enjoying it, and they do see the value in that particular trick. So all I'm doing there is I'm just spreading through the deck, and I'm finding the Jack of Clubs, which is going to be the force card, and I'm just cutting it to the top, okay? And I'm doing it under the guise of saying, check it out, these are all different, right?
Yep, and hold your hands out and just say stop whenever you like.
So what you saw me do there, if you were very observant, is you saw me reach and just nudge his watch, okay? And the reason I do that is so that I can either do a watch steal or a card under watch. In this case, I'm doing a card under watch, but when I'm at corporate events and weddings, I do watch steals, okay? I haven't included that as part of this project just because it's not particularly mine. But then neither is the card to watch, but you know, that's in here anyway. Yeah, so I had a little feel, I had a little nudge just to check if that was going to be a suitable watch for later on to do the card under watch. In this case, it was a very stiff watch, it was very tight, and I instantly thought to myself, I'm going to at least have a look at someone else's watch. Now, because it's summer and everyone's sleeves are rolled up, I could see that someone else did have a watch, and it's this guy over here somewhere has a watch. So I thought, I'm not going to do the card under watch yet, I'm going to wait for later on. But all this is just a setup to do the card under watch and just to have a feel around and see if anyone's going to be appropriate for the card under watch. So here we go, let's carry on. So I've just forced the Jack of Hearts.
So like a table? Perfect. Say stop whenever you like. Stop. Oh, here? Okay, could you have a look at this card? Don't show me though. Don't show me though, show these guys. Alright, cool. Drop it back. Cool, gonna give them a mix. Shuffle them up if you like, yeah.
So again, I love doing that at nightclubs. You know, give them a mix, and they go, "Well, really? You want me to give them a mix?" And again, this just goes off the back of the sort of playing a sort of a silly character that doesn't take himself too seriously. They go, "Really? You really want me to shuffle the deck?" And again, that's a nice touch to it. Okay, and again, if you sort of play that character, when it does come to the climax, they're really going to be blown away because it just looks fantastic. And again, because I've got the lapel mic up here, as I'm reaching into my pocket, it's just nudging that a bit, and the audio goes for a couple of seconds. Again, great joke there. I still use this at weddings and corporate events. Again, it's saying I don't take myself too seriously. I'm going to make a bet. I'm going to bet 10p, a 10p pack of Haribo, okay? So, again, it's funny and it keeps things light-hearted.
Expense spares, right? But if I get it right, I get to keep them. Is that fair? Yeah, okay.
You also notice the way I'm holding it there, I'm not particularly bothering to cover up the card. Even though I'm waving it in their face, people don't just think, oh, wait, there's a card in there, even though it has got the window. So I'm not particularly bothered about keeping it concealed or anything like that. In this case, I just put the Haribo into my pocket, but sometimes I might put it into someone else's pocket. I think the main reason I didn't put it into someone else's pocket, as you can see, this is the height of summer. It is about 28 degrees in the evening on this day. It's one of the hottest days of the year we went out recording. Everyone you can see here is a sweaty mess, including myself. And the last thing I want to be doing is putting my hands into someone's sweaty front pocket. Okay.
You're thinking of a card.
And there was actually a fan just in the corner there which made the card blow off. So normally it'd be much better than that, but if you did rewatch it, you'll see that the card does fly nicely there and then blow away very rapidly.
How do you do, yeah? That wasn't a bit.
Okay, so again, another anti-climax, okay? It's this was your card, I do something really cool, a nice bit of skill, flick the card, catch it, and then this was your card, and then it's, no, that wasn't my card. So again, it's another building up to an anti-climax.
Sick, well, thank you anyway. And,
again, another joke. Yeah, alright, well, thank you anyway. As if that's it, that's over. People find that funny because they love it when a magician messes up. But it's so much better when they think the magician has messed up and then you just pull one out and do something amazing.
Did you get a Haribo? There for you. What was your card? You look inside the pocket, there's a card, right? There you go, check it out, man.
So there you go. I cannot stress how much I love the card to Haribo packet. It is the best thing that I've ever done in Magic, and what's so annoying about it is it's so damn easy. As long as you can force a card, you can do it. And even now, that is the trick that people want me to do. You know, if I see, sometimes I see people from years ago, and they're like, "Oh, I remember that time you put a card in a Haribo packet. How on earth did you do that?" You know, and as much as I wanted to say, I simply heat sealed a folded card that was a duplicate into a packet of Haribo, and then I forced the card on you. It will just ruin the mystery. But the point being that people really love this, and it really goes down well. well, this card to impossible location, in this case the card to Haribo packet. And I think the strength of this trick relies quite a lot on the fact that you are just bringing them up to bring them down, and bringing them up to bring them down, and then finally you hit them with the reveal in this case.
Nice one, man.
Okay, so I'm just saying, should we do one more?
Anyone. Go, and I'll give you the pen. So you're going to sign your name across the face of the card, across this side, okay? Awesome. I'll take the pen. They're not cheap. Drop that in there. So these guys as well, so they know what it is. Alright, so check it out. We're going to lose it roughly in the middle. Is that fair? So it's not on the top.
So after doing 2 quick tricks in quick succession, very short tricks, here's where I don't mind doing a bit of card juggling and something that takes a little bit longer because I've already got their attention now. So yeah, we can move on. As you can see, it's only about 4 minutes into the set.
It's not on the bottom. It's not even close to the top. But if I use this card and shake, you actually see the moment.
So I love that move. In a nightclub, it's a fantastic move, and it's so visual and it's so lovely. So what I did in this case is I had him sign the card. As he was showing everyone else, I just peeled off 3 cards and got a pinky break underneath the top 3. Took the card back, slid it under the top 3 cards as the card was in a Vernon tilt move. And I then showed the top 2 cards, placed them away, showed a bottom card, so now their card is second from top. So I then turned the top card over, and then that is when I do either the swirl change, which is really nice, or the sort of the flick swirl change. I can't remember what it's called, but the flick swirl one in a nightclub is so visual and it's so quick, it's beautiful, especially if a bit of strobe catches it at the same time. It literally just looks like bam, it's changed. So yeah, that's really nice.
It changes. It's the 9, right? But if you hold your hand out, there we can do that as well, man. That's so awesome. Hold your hand out, Dave. And if you get past the drink across from it.
So again, you may notice that now I'm eyeing that watch up. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm really eyeing that watch up, and I'm just about to go and have a tug on this watch to see if this watch is going to be an appropriate watch to do the card under watch. If it wasn't, I would have moved on to something like an Omni deck finish. Or, to be honest, probably would have been an Omni deck finish.
So the 9 goes here, and then put this hand on top. So 1, 2.
So very quickly, I hardly had to touch it. I knew straight away this was going to be perfect. I even managed to rotate the watch on his wrist, so I knew straight away this was going to be perfect to do the card under watch. So as soon as he's looking right there at the card that has changed, I'm now doing a Mercury card fold underneath the deck because all of the attention is on this card.
Hold on to the deck. I've got a wallet in here.
Oh no, I apologise. That's not what happened at all. I didn't do the Mercury card fold though because I'm actually going to put the card inside my wallet first. So my mistake. I do freestyle a lot when I'm performing magic, and it's nice to just have so many outs and just decide what you do when you do it. And you know, I sort of have a set-ish, but it's very much freestyling and it's very much done depending on how they're responding to certain things. And I really wanted to do the card and envelope for these guys just because I thought that extra hit was going to go down really well. They were having a good time and they were enjoying it.
I bought this and I sealed it before I even came out tonight. Check it sealed and open it up. I'll tell you what, one more before we go, right? So look, if I drop this, that one was yours, right? This one.
So that was actually just a bit of a fumble. Yeah, which can happen. Again, it was 28 degrees, it was boiling hot, my hands were sweaty, and this was the end of a very long night of filming, and I made a slight error. But again, it doesn't matter. If you do make an error like this, it really doesn't matter. So basically, essentially what happened is I had the double, and I sort of slipped the double as they were there. And all I do is go, oh wait, hang on, was this one? Oh no, this one was yours, so that was yours with the signature, and then just carry on.
That was your signature.
Also, you might want to note that I have got a bend in the corner of the card. So at some point, I can't remember exactly when, but I must have put a crimp in the card. Now this is a habit that I had at nightclubs, was to just always put a crimp in the card. And the reason for that is it's quite likely in a nightclub that someone's going to ask you if they can shuffle the deck. Now if they ask you if they can shuffle the deck and you've already got a crimp in the corner of their chosen card, Yeah, sure, go ahead and shuffle the deck. Really doesn't matter, you can find it so easily again because it's got that bend in it. So this was a habit that I just automatically started doing. I still do it now at you know, any event that I'm doing, whether that be a nightclub or a wedding or a corporate event. If I get the sense that they may ask if they can shuffle the deck, I'm putting a crimp in that card. So that I can easily track it again for the rest of the routine. And again, there's nothing worse than when someone says, can I shuffle the deck, and the magician says no. Because automatically it's at, who's this guy, you know? So, yeah, good little tip there is just to, if in doubt, put a crimp in the card, or if you think they're going to be hard work, put a crimp in the card. I didn't particularly think these were going to be a hard group, but someone asking to shuffle the deck isn't like something that you know, an idiot or someone being awkward would do. It's just something, go on, let me shuffle the deck, you know? So, I thought potentially one of these guys might say, oh, go on, let's shuffle the deck, okay?
Yeah, so look, inside the middle. You know when you shake, it should look like you jump up through the deck. I'll say it super slow, so really slowly. What's the 9? You'll lose it down. If you tap it in, you'll see it go from there to there. Tap it in. I'm joking, I tap it already.
So the classic card to mouth, of course, because it was in a loud environment, I said tap it in. He didn't quite hear me for whatever reason, and just looked straight up at my mouth. So didn't get the full reaction. I normally like to have a couple of beats there before he sees it, but even so, as you can see, it still goes down very well.
I don't know how I get away with that one. So I'll tell you what, hold that dot on the floor. Yeah, drop that down. So look, that was it. Hold your hand out, and then other hand on top. So look, 1, 2. You feel it change this time?
So right there, that's when I'm doing the Mercury card fold. So as soon as the attention goes down on that, it's boom boom, get the card into Mercury card fold position, and then I carry on.
Hey, back into the tag. Right, but hold your hand down. Right, and actually, can you swing around this way? No, you can see, swing around here.
So I'm using his body to block as many people as possible. So as he's right parallel in front of me, that's when I'm grabbing his arm, slipping the watch under as I'm turning him around, okay, as explained during the tutorial. But doing it this way and asking them to move across just gives you the justification to hold on to their wrist. You know, come on, move across this way, please. And as you're turning him, you've got that because that motion of you grabbing the arm and twisting around, your hand will naturally swing forward on it. So you just will not get caught doing it this way, and especially when you've done a couple of things beforehand where you're checking people's watches to ensure that it is going to be a watch that is suitable to put the card under.
Hold your hand out like this. I'm going to deal down. You say stop whenever you like.
So again, we can see the card under the watch, just very slightly here, we can see the card, but from where everyone else is positioned, they'll have absolutely no idea where the card is, okay?
Oh, yeah. Now you could have had any of these. You could have had any of those, but you stopped on this one. If the card under the watch was the signed card, would you be impressed? Check it out. Oh no, not.
Again, down the garden path, and again, it leads to that anti-climax again, which I can't say it enough. It's just absolutely brilliant in nightclubs because everyone loves it when a magician fucks up.
My watch, your watch. Thank you, man. Cheers, thank you, man.
So there you go, really great reactions. These guys had a really good time. It's not the group that I would do much longer than what I did here. I think 6 minutes is just about right for these guys. Any more would have been pushing it a little bit, but you can see they had fun, they enjoyed it, and that last climax of the card under the watch is always a really fantastic way to end. And you could tell by his reaction he had absolutely no idea the card was under there, and it is amazing because it's literally nothing more than just sticking the card
nice
under the watch.
Guys. All right, thank you very much. Enjoy your night, guys. All right, thank you very much.
So again, you're signing off by just giving everyone a handshake, thanking them for coming to the club, or asking them to enjoy the rest of your night, being polite, being friendly as much as possible, and then you carry on about your day. So I appreciate that was probably a little bit mixed up, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the start, and you can watch the whole performance without any breaks, and I'll get rid of this as well so you don't have to see my ugly mug as we do this.
Evening, how are you guys doing? I'm part of the entertainment. I'm the magician for the night. You guys want to see a bit of what I do?
Fuck it, why not?
Yes, enthusiasm, I like it. Alright, cool. I need you. What's your name, Dave? Go, come forward, man. Come forward, come forward. Alright, check it out. These are all different, yeah? If they weren't, I wouldn't show you in the first place. You're genuinely all different. Do you have a favourite card? Sorry? Do you have a favourite playing card? Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades. Touch a card. Touch one. Okay, take a look. Ace of Spades. That's what I love about it. It'd be good if it was though, right? But you pick any of these. You had the 7 of hearts. Right. I made a prediction before I started of what card you would pick. I got it with me. I kept it in here. Well, I did lie a bit. There's a couple of predictions, but the 7 of hearts is on now. Thank you very much. But you could have picked any one. You picked this one. What's interesting, if I hit my lighter, I'm hoping. There you go, there's the 7 of hearts, yeah? Hey, that one scares me as well, man. Souvenir for yourself, dude. You can keep hold of that. I'll tell you what, look. Let's go a step further. Let's get these out. And, gonna borrow yourself this. Alright, cool, say it again. They genuinely are all different, fair?
Making sure.
Is that fair? Yep. And hold your hands out and just say stop whenever you like. So like a table? Perfect. Say stop whenever you like.
Stop.
Oh, here? Okay, could you have a look at this card? Don't show me though. Don't show me though, show these guys. Alright, cool. Drop it back. Cool, gonna give them a mix. Shuffle them up if you like, yeah. Take a bet. If I get this right, it's 10p back at Haribo. No expense spared, right? But if I get it right, I get to keep them. Is that fair? Yeah, okay. You're thinking of a card. There somewhere. How do we do, yeah? That wasn't a bit. Sick, well, thank you anyway. And I did say you get the Haribo. There for you. What was your card? You look inside the pocket, there's a card, right? There you go, check it out, man. Hey! There you go, nice one, man. Go for yourself, anyone of these? Anyone. Cool, and I'll give you the pen. So you're going to sign your name across the face of the card, across this side, okay? Awesome, I'll take the pen. They're not cheap. Drop that in there. Show these guys as well so they know what it is. Alright, so check it out. We're going to lose it roughly in the middle. Is that fair? So it's not on the top. It's not on the bottom. It's not even close to the top. But if I use this card and shake, you actually see the moment. It changes. It's the 9, right? But if you hold your hand out, yeah, we can do that as well, man. That's still awesome. Hold your hand out, dude. And you get past the thing across from it. So the 9 goes here, and then put this hand on top. So 1, 2. You hold on to the deck. I've got a wallet in here. I bought this and I sealed it before I even came out tonight. Check it sealed and open it up. I'll tell you what, one more before we go, right? So look, if I drop this, that one was yours, right? This one, that was your signature, yeah? Okay, so look, inside the middle, you know when you shake, it should look like you jump up through the deck. I'll say it super slow, so really slowly. What's the 9? You'll lose it down. If you tap it in, you'll see it go from there to there. Tap it in. I'm joking, it's up here already, man. I don't know how I get away with that one. So I'll tell you what, hold that foot on the floor. Yeah, drop that down. So look, that was it. Hold your hand out. And then other hand on top. So look, 1, 2, You feel it change this time. Hey, back into the drag. Right, but hold your hand down. Right, and that's it. Can you swing around this way? No, you can see. Swing around here. Round it. Come here. Hold your hand down like this. I'm going to deal down. You say stop whenever you like. Stop. Oh, here. And you could have had any of these. You could have had any of those. But you stopped on this one. If the card under the watch was the signed card, would you be impressed? Check it out. Oh no, not my watch. Your watch. Thank you, man. Cheers, dude. Thank you, man. Nice to meet you guys. All right, thank you very much. Nice one. Enjoy your night, guys. All right. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Souvenir. Take that home. Put it under your pillow tonight. You'll be pregnant in the morning. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
So hopefully you're getting the hang of this a little bit now. So here is another one.
I'm going to give you the pen. Sign your name across the card, across here. I'll look away. Across the face. Across the...
So again, being very animated. You know, I'm pointing with the pen. Sign your name across here and demonstrating.
This side here. I'll look away. You've even got a cameraman there.
Another little tip I've just thought of watching this is if you do have a cameraman with you or someone is filming, you can say things like, because we've got a cameraman, I'm expecting David Blaine reactions tonight. And it just gives people permission to react well and to react better to the things that you're doing. Okay?
Alright then. I've seen this trick before anyway, right? One card, one card, one card. Use it roughly in the middle. That wasn't it, right? That wasn't it? Okay, watch the card, right? I'm going to try this. Watch the 6. One shake. You actually see a change into the 7. That wasn't it, yeah? Hold your hand out, please. Right, put your other hand up top at the sandwich. Got 1, 2. So these guys.
Okay, so there you go. I'm getting the Mercury card fold just down here as he's changing it in his hand.
So you guys. That's when it changes, right? Now look this side. We put this one back. Drop it here. And you keep swinging around this way. Swing around here. Right, and hold your hand. Now you vote with left-handed. Right. Like this. Like a table. Like a table. Say what?
So yeah, it's quite funny. You can see the card sticking out from under the watch there. But I promise you that the people who are being performed to will not be able to see this. Okay?
I'm going to deal down. Say stop whenever you like. Say stop whenever you like. Cool. Yeah. And bearing in mind you could have had any of these. Yeah. And you could have stopped doing any of those. If the card under the watch was your signed card, would you be impressed? Yeah. Would you go fucking mental? Yeah. Well, it's right there, not my watch, your watch. Turn your hand over. Turn your hand over. Turn your hand over. That was going to be as well. So you can have a good signature as well, yeah?
That is you, yeah. So as you can see, I've been joined by my son, who is very keen to learn some magic, aren't you? So yeah, you can see great reactions again, and it's just to show how important, how good the card under watch is, which really is a fantastic effect. So from here, I'm going to lead straight into the card in Haribo packet, which again is just an absolute killer. So it's just to see the transition, and again to get some more performance footage of this.
So you do one more? I'll tell you what, check it out. These are genuinely all different, right? If they weren't, I wouldn't bother showing you. Hold your finger out. Touch a card. Just touch one. Okay, take it out. Show these guys. Alright, say stop. Say stop. That's fair. If I get this wrong, I will give you a 10p back at Haribo. No way. But if I get it right, I get to keep it. Is that fair? That's fair, okay.
He's hungry.
Here we go, here we go. One hand. Here, 1, 2, 3, cast of the card, 6 spins. Yep.
Hey, you want
That wasn't it. That wasn't it. Now bear in mind, you could have had any one of these. I did say you get the Haribo. Actually, look inside the packet. Inside the packet is the card, right? Check it out. Make him stop. What was the card? What was the card?
I remember.
Jacket Clubs. Hey.
Is that good? Yeah.
I'm on fire, right?
So there we go. My son thinks it's good, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. So yeah, again, that's just a cool little performance. So I'm going to run through. Going to run through the whole thing in one go. Okay, you going to go back in your room?
Yeah.
Yeah, good boy. Go on then.
It's done.
So yeah, apologies for that. But it happens. Here we go.
I'm going to give you the pen. Sign your name across the card, across here. I'll look away. Across the face, across this side here. I'll look away. You've even got a camera down there. I've seen this trick before anyway, right? One card. Use it roughly in the middle. So, that wasn't it, right? That wasn't it? Okay, watch the card, right? I'm going to try this. Watch the 6, watch 6. Actually see a change into the 7, that was it, yeah? Hold your hand out, please. Right, then put your other hand up top with the sandwich. Got 1, 2. So these guys. But it changes, right? Now look this time. We put this one back. Stop it here. And you can stick around this way. Stick around here. And then hold your hand. You right with left-handed. Like this. Like a table. Say what? I'm going to deal down. Say stop whenever you like. Say stop whenever you like. Go. Yeah. Now bearing in mind you could have had any of these, yeah, and you could have stopped me on any of those. If the card under the box was your signed card, would you be impressed? Yeah. Would you go fucking mental? Yeah. Well, it's not my box, your box. Turn your hand over. Turn your hand over. Turn your hand over. Check it out, we're going to signature as well, yeah? Do you want more? I'll tell you what, check it out. These are genuinely all different, right? If they weren't, I wouldn't bother showing you. Hold your finger out. Touch a card. Just touch one. Okay, take it out. Show these guys. Alright, say stop. Say stop. That's there. If I get this wrong, I will give you a 10p back at Haribo. No way. But if I get it right, I get to keep it. Is that fair? That's fair, okay.
He's hungry.
Here we go. One hand. Here, 1, 2, 3, cast of the card, 6 spins. Yep.
Hey, you want
That wasn't it. That wasn't it. Now bear in mind, you could have had any one of these. I did say you get the Haribo. Actually, look inside the packet. Inside the packet is the card, right? Take a look, check it out. Make him stop. What was the card?
I remember.
Jacket Clubs. I'm on fire, right? How's my dude? I want 3 cows, man. Cheers, dude. Cheers, man. Cheers, dude. I want this dude. Souvenir. Take that home. Put it under your pillow tonight. You'll be pregnant in the morning.
Okay, so here's another one. The audio, for whatever reason, doesn't particularly work during this one, but it's not really necessary. This was performed almost towards the start of the night when it was still quite quiet and the bar staff were just sort of milling about a little bit. And as I speak about, it's always good to get the bar staff involved as much as possible. Here is the friction card with the lighter, and just so you can see how well it goes down. So again, apologies for the audio, but that does mean you get to listen to me as I talk over it, and I don't have to sort of pause it as we go. Okay. So again, very simple. What I'm doing is I'm looking for the card, the 7 of hearts, under the guise of saying they're all different. I cut it to the top. Okay, and then I do the time force. She's going to say stop, which she does. She takes a look at one card, which is the force card, 7 of hearts. I then ask her to take a look at the card. She can show it to the camera as well. Excellent. We're going to move this down here again. Okay, fancy little card. And what I've said here is I'm going to try and find your card. And then she goes, no, that's not it. Okay, damn, bugger. I said, oh, I'll tell you what, I've actually made a prediction of what your card is. So I went to the wallet, and then take out the friction card. And I just have a load of these lined up in my wallet. And then get a bit of an anticlimax. I say, is it on there? She goes, yes, it's on there. Okay, cool. Good trick, right? And then here we go, just going to burn it. It all comes off except the 7 of hearts. And there you go, see, really good reaction. She now loves magic, she loves me, and she's going to be telling all of the management and the other bar staff later on how cool that trick was. So again, it's a 1-minute trick. It's really cool, and really great reactions. It's perfect to use on the bar and get people excited about what it is that you do. So this was a really cool effect, and I love doing this to bar staff. It's one of those tricks that's quick, it's easy, and it's also justified because it's done at a point where I go across and get some water. So I've gone across, I've asked for some water, and I was actually trying to show you something cool, and of course he says yes. This was done quite early in the night, before it started to get really busy, so it's not disrupting service. That's very important. Although it's very good to be showing members of staff magic trick, if you're starting to get in the way of service or interrupt things, then not only are they not going to be interested because they've got a job to do, it's going to make you look bad in front of the management, which of course is the last thing you want to do. So pick your timings well, do it nice and early in the night, when they're all sort of just gearing up. They always get loads of staff on because they're expecting it to be busy, and during this time, you know, they've not got a lot to do, particularly. So again, we're going to run through it, and I will pause as we go, and then we'll have the full video at the end.
Okay, cool, take it. As it doesn't matter if I see it, what have you got? Oh, aim to space, perfect. I'll tell you what, if I... Ben? You ready off?
I actually had a new tongue bar fitted before this, and this is a trick. Great, I love this image, by the way. This is great. I had a new tongue bar fitted, and I haven't done this trick for a long time. It's something that I pretty much exclusively used at nightclubs, and because I had the new tongue bar fitted, there it is. It started getting stuck underneath the tongue bar. I was kind of really manoeuvring it around in my mouth to actually even just chew it up, just because I wasn't used to doing this with the larger tongue bar that I've got. So the chewing of the card corner took a little bit longer than what I would normally try to do. I normally try and do it nice and quick, you know, chew, and then swallow. But in this case, it is a little bit longer. Really manoeuvring it around, trying to get it. And of course, all I'm doing is as I go to pick the drink up with one hand, I'm turning the deck over with the other. So yeah, there we go, that's it, nice and quick, you know, a minute long trick, and again, that would have been about 50 seconds or so had I not been rummaging around with the card corner in my mouth. Now I know I didn't really speak too much during that, but just so you can see the full flow of it, we're going to go all the way through.
Here, you saw, I get more if you like. Okay, cool, take it. As you zoom out, if I see it, what have you got? Oh, 8 space, perfect. I'll tell you what, if I... Ben?
Okay, hello again. So this time we are in Cafe Parfait, one of my old residencies, and I really wanted to include something of doing some bits on the actual dance floor itself. Now, I do make a point of saying normally just avoid these areas. However, some places that is just not possible. And I've worked in nightclubs where it is literally bouncing everywhere you go, so you might as well do it here, right? This is the dance floor itself, and it is bouncing at the time, but you can still get away with it. And there's always this misconception that people can't hear what you're doing. They can hear what you're doing, especially if you're really animated. Okay, so it's almost imagine like you're sign languaging what it is to them as you're going through things. Okay, so really animated. You know, if you, instead of just saying look at the card, it's look at the card. You know, that sort of thing. Okay, so I have a very short one. This one's only a minute 30. This is the bottle production from the shoe. I really like this effect, especially on the dance floor, because it's really visual. You'll see here I make a Coke bottle appear. If I'm normally working at a nightclub, it will be a bottle of beer, but as you know, I haven't worked in nightclubs for about 2 years full time. This was one of my residencies before, but I didn't want to go turning up with a crate of beer and sort of using glass bottles, and I wasn't quite 100% sure of the procedure. A lot of nightclubs recently go into using plastic bottles and whatever else, but what I would normally do is I would buy the bottles, depends how many I'm doing really, but I'd either buy the bottle or I would just have them give me a bottle with the lid on. Okay, and when you work in nightclubs, really you should be getting at least 3 beers whilst you're there, so you shouldn't have to worry about paying for it, although I have sometimes if there's been someone I've really wanted to impress. So here we go, bottle.
Hey mate, how you doing again? I'm the magician for the night. Do you guys want to see a bit of what I do? Yeah, yes, that's what I like, enthusiasm.
So a couple of things here. Firstly, no messing around. Straight in there. Hi, my name's Stephen. I'm the magician. Can I show you what I do? Okay, straight in there. As soon as you get that, yes, I'm very overexcited, very animated. Hey, excellent. Let's do some magic. And also notice I went for the guy first. Okay, you do not in a situation like this. You certainly don't want to be going up and tapping some girls on the shoulder and going, "Hey, I'm the magician. Can I show you a bit of what I do?" No, you don't want to do it. Oh, excuse that. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, so absolutely no, that is not what you want to do. Okay, so let's move it on.
Toss the back of the card. This one. Take a look. So these guys. So the cameras. Get the cameras here. Go. All right, jumping back. So check it out. You could have had any one of these, yeah? Any one, but you picked one. Here's what's cool, if I shake, did you see it vanish? You didn't see it vanish? I'll show you. You could have had any one. There's one card inside the shoe, right? Hold your hand out, it's clean, I promise.
So always a very good point to make if you're doing a wedding or a corporate event. And you're gonna do, you're gonna have a card in your shoe. Always say that the card is clean. Okay, now of course we know as magicians we have extremely clean feet. It's gonna gross people out. I'm being funny. If someone came up to me and pulled the shoe off and told me to stick their hand in it, I would tell them that I wouldn't do it. So yeah, again, it's always it is clean. Okay, make sure you tell them that it is clean. Now, of course, it is. Despite the fact that I had done 3 gigs this day, the card is just dropped in there like literally a few seconds before you approach them. Okay, and I know I talk about this elsewhere in the project as well, but it's always down the side of the shoe, not underneath. Okay.
Check it out.
So you go, and that's it. It's loaded. I know it's not the best angle for that, but as I showed, the thing is literally that easy. And when it's dark, no one ain't going to see nothing. As more so, you know, when the bottles are going to be dark green, they're going to be dark brown bottles. No one's ever going to see it. Literally, just slide it in. No one's ever going to notice.
One time. Open it up. Check it out. But the interesting thing is not how the card's got in the shoe. The cool thing is how the card got in the shoe. That in there. There you go, dude. That's you, man. I will bring it down as well. Okay, thank you very much, Steve. All right, thank you, mate. Cheers, guys. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, there's always these guys who are going, who are getting their hands out and trying to shake my hand at the end of it. You see, they're all laughing, they're all happy, they're all jolly. That is exactly your job. Even if we're on the ninth floor, go up, boom, magic trick. What do we do? About a minute and a half, boom, magic trick, and then off again on to the next one. And again, if you're working in a nightclub, giving out bottles of beer is always cool. You got 3 beers anyway. A nice thing that I used to do with this club is they would have messages on the bottle. I used to get them printed off, the special messages on the bottle, and they would use those. And it would just be like, thank you for coming to Cafe Parfait, or whatever it is. So yeah, there we go. That's that one, and let's move on to the next one. So this is a really cool one. This was just done outside of Cafe Parfait. And this was actually one of the DJs who I've known for years and years and years. So we was having a little chat outside, and we told him about the project, and he of course wanted to see a trick. So I done the card under watch because I thought it'd be really good to show you the workings and the mechanics of this trick, where there's a bit more light and it's in a little bit of a better environment. So here we go. This is the card under watch, so you can actually see it.
Very good, cool. And I'll give you the pen. Give you the Sharpie. Sign your name across the face of the card, across this side. Cool. Take the pen. Drop it in here, right or left. Actually, it doesn't even matter. I'll tell you what. We'll drop it down. So you're roughly in the middle. So check it out. It's not on the top. It's not on the bottom. Fair so far. I know this wasn't it, but if I use the 5, you should be able to change it into the king, so I think it was yours. Alice, if you hold your hand up for me, dude. Put your other hand on top. Here's the move. 1, 2. Do you feel it change?
No, but that's definitely my card.
Take a look, check it out. That's when it changes, right? But actually, I'll tell you what, hold both your hands up for me like this. And you said you're right-handed, I think, yeah? Okay, cool. Like a table, like this. So I'm going to deal down. You're going to say stop whenever you like.
Stop.
Oh, very good. I'm going to drop it right here. And you could have stopped me anywhere, yeah?
Yeah.
If the card under the watch was your card, would you be impressed?
Yeah.
Yeah? No, sorry, no, not my watch. Your watch. Turn your hand over. Hey! Very good.
So there we go. I don't think we really need to replay it or talk too much about it. I just thought it'd be really nice to include this so that you can see it in action with a little bit of a better angle. So yeah, hope that helped.